Well, happy holidays, everybody. How are we doing tonight?
I was okay. Um, it's actually been a rough couple of days for reasons I won't get into, other than the obvious good stuff. And then the title of this actually actually picked me up because it's so absurd. So thank you.
What did you get for Kwanzaa this year?
I saw my wife. She's everything's great with her. She's not feeling too great, so we've been trying to deal with that a little. No, she got me the Big East book from Dane O'Neill. She actually got me like an on air sign for Spaces, which is kind of a again, she's actually encouraging this awful thing that we do. So thanks to her. It's an awesome gift. She got me that, the Big East book. Got some gin and tonic stuff because the good and the bright and the correct in life drink gin and tonic, unlike the evil heathens who do not.
That's
Uh,
disgusting.
and I'm sorry you're low class. Typical Northwestern Connecticut trash, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean, that shit tastes like pine trees.
Yeah,
I've,
I
I've
like
had
pine
enough
trees.
of those. I don't need to ingest them.
I enjoy the forest. What can I say? But no, got a couple things and just enjoying a little downtime. I hope everybody is because this goes from 0 to 100 real quick this week. It gets real pretty quick. So
Yeah, it's our last two nights without a lot of anxiety for a long time.
yeah, we have programming requirements, and Jared's here. Just want to. We should probably mention this more than 4 hours into the recorded space so that people actually hear this part. We'll be doing a space live. It's kind of in the XL Center. It's at the cafeteria. It's right. It's a storefront right next to the main front entrance that has a lot of like local artisans and streetwear and stuff. We'll be doing the space in there. Hotballs, if you consider the fact that this is a business, so we probably can't be in there for 4 hours.
Yeah, I think we've got like an hour or so limit, and then we could pick it up on here while everyone's driving home or what. But we could at least get a little bit in there live.
We'll at least just go to a bar. It could be some really good live content of where we.
Well, again, it's a Hartford bar, so it's not going to be open more than an hour after the game anyway. Yet, but no, I'm excited for that, and we want folks to come and check it out. Whatever, see what your disgusting mug looks like and my beautiful
I
visage.
think we need to play a game at the live spaces where like you walk up to us and we try to guess who you are. Like especially if you have an anonymous handle, we get to try to guess who you are just based on appearance.
Oh, we're gonna play Pick the Weirdo. Nice. Mike will be joining us. Have we confirmed we're getting him a gallon of milk?
I put out the I put out the bat sign tonight. We got to get Mike a sponsor. Like I don't know who it is, like Farmer's Cow, whatever. We got to get someone in there
Yeah,
sponsoring the
some dairy
milk.
farm in Northwest Connecticut. I got some
I mean,
connects.
a
I can
Ruth.
get some.
It's got to be. I know I'm mangling the name. Arutza Farm or whatever
Oh,
it is. The one.
Arethusa,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
got to be them. I think because they're hipster enough to maybe be tied into this sort of thing. They're like the home field of milk. So I think we can get them on board.
All right, I think we got to do it. We can hit up the streets of West Hartford to see what we could get there.
The mean streets of West Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah, yeah, we played a pivotal role in the last UConn basketball coach, but I'll just leave that there. Yeah, but no, it's almost here. We have a line, Jared, 14.5. It's not surprising, but also holy shit, that's a lot of points.
It is, and like I don't know if I would take 14 and a half right now.
Oh no,
That's a lot. I mean, early on,
that's so
especially
much.
at this point in the season, I feel like a lot of these early lines basically just copy and paste what the Ken Palm spread is and set that as the opening line and go from there. But like even just leading up to this game, it was just so weird for me to look at Ken Palm and see for for him to have this as a 15-point game, like it just blows my mind. Like, could this team beat Villanova by 15? Sure, but I don't know. I think it's going to be closer than that.
I hate that
It seems very steep to me that the reactions have been pretty funny online because UConn fans are like, yeah, no way we're covering that, and the Nova fans are like, oh, well, that seems about
Yeah,
reasonable.
when I had full 40, when I had full 40 on the podcast to preview the game, and I asked him a prediction, he's like, "Oh yeah, you guys will win by like 12 to 15 or so." It's like, yeah, I mean, they all seem to think they're going to get crushed, and I mean, I think we just have a little bit of PTSD too from these Nova games the past like 4 or 5 years where we lose by 30, but yeah, and I mean, once you get to Big East play, like I love the streak we've got right now, where you could say you've beaten everyone by double digits. But this is college basketball; you're not going to beat everyone by double digits every game.
Yeah, I just want to be 3-0 in the Big East going into the big road test. I don't care if it's by 1 or by 101. I
No,
prefer
agree.
101, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's the thing about Nova is Whitmore is obviously a dude, but also like he's one of the highest usage rate players in the country for a reason. Like they're pretty thin right now. They're starting to get guys back, but in terms of Wednesday night, it really is to me hot balls. It feels a lot to me like and it was very effective. The game plan UConn used against Syracuse when they had Carmelo Anthony, like let him get his 30 on 45 shots or whatever, and you'll still win comfortably. That's kind of where I'm hoping this goes. Like a nice Cam Whitmore impressive performance that doesn't really matter.
I'm just wait.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I
No,
was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say I'm waiting for the bullshit Archidiakono threes that are just gonna kill me. It's every time they play Nova, so I'm just always petrified there's going to
Well,
be that guy that
we've
just like
spent
drains those those back-breaking threes or like gets him back
Well, we're
into it.
really due for a goofy performance from somebody.
Well, we've
You know,
spent
we
two
keep saying
months
that, obviously.
dragging Chris Archidiakono, so he's going to go off Wednesday, and you can just blame us. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dixon's one of the few guys in the league that's going to be strong enough to kind of bang with Sonogo a little bit. But having to bang with Sonogo and then Donovan directly behind him is a whole other basket of apples. And they're
But
really thin up front.
that's the thing when you look at the matchup last year when they went down to Philly and lost by like 20 or what. Sonogo had like 2 fouls in 5 minutes and we were screwed. This year it's a completely different story if he were to get into foul trouble here early on.
Yeah, and also this is a UConn team that as successful as they've been. I keep making the joke about how bad the first halves go, and then we always say they're great. The first 10 minutes of games are when UConn has been their weakest. So between that and the way Villanova is playing one of the slowest paces in the country this year, that's intentional. So they've taken very good care of the ball in terms of turnovers. So like this is going to be methodical. This is going to be if UConn's going to have a good performance. This isn't going to be a friggin' run out. I don't think this is a run out of the gate. Go up 25-12 or something. Like this is going to take time, and it should take time. So and that's the thing. Yeah, Dixon's a dude, but it's Dixon. Like he can only go so far on his own, in there, and he's really good. But this is kind of what we saw with the Butler game, where Butler hung around. They had the physical size, and then with 10 minutes to go, UConn just put the foot down on them. So between that and what we all learned with the Georgetown game, like I think people, I would hope, are pretty realistic about not freaking out if the game is not a 10 to 15 point UConn lead at the under 12
the
of the
one
first
thing
half.
the one thing I do want to watch for, and it just gets me worried, like Villanova's always a really good free throw shooting team too, and we have had the tendency this year so far to send teams to the line a bit much. So that's just going to be something I'm going to be watching for. Like that's how I see like a team like Villanova here hanging around a little bit.
Yeah, they have like 4 guys shooting at least 80%, I think, and like Slater shoots 93.
Yes.
So that's, I mean, Dixon's 80, Caleb Daniels is 80, Whitmore's 82. So like, yeah, in a situation like
Yeah,
that,
that's how you.
Archidako's
Yeah,
85.
that's how like a sneaky dangerous team there. Kind of just hangs around.
Yeah, the thing about it is they're not literally one of the 2 best teams in the country at shooting free throws, but they aren't elite at getting to the line. They're okay. but they're like in the back end of the top third of Division One in terms of actually getting to the line. So this isn't a scenario where, and that goes back to the lack of size and the lack of depth. Like when they get to the line, they're going to make free throws, but it's I can't really construct a situation in which they're getting to the line a lot, just because the way UConn's constructed. But
Yeah.
when they get there, you just have to assume they're going to maximize the points.
When
Don't
we
foul
get
threes.
when do we get to find out if our friend James Breeding is doing this game again?
It's a good question.
Night before is when they announced the officials, and I guarantee you we're going to.
I don't think they usually announce it. Well, it's not publicly announced. I will look to see where he is the night before because inevitably he will be on his I mean, here's the thing, Jared. He can't be working tonight.
And there are only 5 games tomorrow, so there aren't going to be a lot of officials, working tomorrow. There's only 5 games, but part of me is actually surprised with how superstitious Dan Hurley is. I'm somewhat surprised they didn't announce that Kamani's just going to come out and coach this game.
Really, you're surprised by how superstitious Dan Hurley is?
What
part about that surprises you?
You'd think he'd throw Kamani out there right away, saying he's the guy coaching this game after what happened last year, but. He's got the underwear. The underwear supersedes.
I'm waiting for the bad internet take if UConn gets off to a slow start, being like, Kamani Young would have a lead right now.
Oh yeah, that's coming.
Why can't you kidding me?
That's a shoe-in. I'm going to lead with that tomorrow night. That's
perfect.
That's going to be the title of the Spaces Wednesday night. Kamani Young would have won this by 20.
I want the
Kamani Young would have covered.
First post-game question, Dan Hurley. What's it like to get your first win over Villanova? Just Borges gets punched in the face, but it's worth it.
That's the Mike DeMoro question.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to ask him, like, does it how much does it mean to you now to total Kamani's career win total versus Villanova?
Yeah, that will be the first question. But the line could come to pass, but it will not be that way early. That would more be a stretching it out the end scenario. But it's going to be. I expect it to be tough. For everybody's back after Christmas travel and whatnot, and they haven't played in a week, and they haven't played a real game in basically a week and a half. I mean, it got a little serious last week, mildly, but it wasn't. This is such a drastic step up from Georgetown in every way. I do like the order of the games this week. I would rather have the home Nova game rather than the Viper Pit on Saturday. And if UConn does win tomorrow, that is going to be an absolute circus, even more than we
They're going to be so drunk
on Saturday.
Kicking off their New Year's at noon there.
Yeah, which will make the win all the sweeter. But tomorrow. Look, if they get tomorrow, it's weird to say this because it's number 2 in the country. But if they win tomorrow,
Wednesday.
Sorry, Wednesday. Time doesn't exist. Last week of the year. If they win tomorrow, Saturday, I'd like Saturday. But if they win Wednesday and lose Saturday, they're fine. So there's not many losses really on the schedule. And if you look at possibilities, we've said this 1,000 times. That's Xavier New Year's. I mean, that's a tall task. The question would be, it really the Xavier game's the least important game of their next 3 in many ways. But because it's the most difficult. But if they get that, then I don't know how much hotter this fan base can get or hornier. But the next home game after Wednesday.
Yeah, just in time to go shit down our leg against Providence in Providence.
Yeah, all the ingredients are there.
I mean, if we sweep those 2, I mean, it's just all UConn fans going to buy the tickets on StubHub for the Providence game, right?
Oh yeah, the entire Providence fan base is going to make triple on their season tickets, just selling them to us idiots. Because it's going to be insane. It's going to be like what MSG is going to be.
It really is. I feel like I'm hitting the dilemma now of I've got to figure out how I'm balancing out which games I'm going to go to, on the road, and then come tournament time, just based on expected costs of what these are all going to be.
Well,
glad I bought my season tickets. I'm saving money.
Yeah. You might be making money at the rate this is going. If Creighton hadn't gotten it together, you weren't going to sell the Creighton tickets, but I don't know. They're over 500.
I've thought about it. I could probably make a profit.
I mean, what is it? It's going for it's $200 to get in on Wednesday. I think that's what I saw it was on StubHub.
I saw Vivid. It was like 120, but you never know. A lot of the sites are cross posting. It's a lot. It's not cheap, and it's pretty amazing because it's an XL sellout, which means it's 16,000 people, and the price is that high. And
Creighton get-in prices come way down for Creighton. It's down to $83 now.
I mean,
yeah,
if this game's going for like 120 plus to get in for Villanova, and this isn't like vintage Villanova coming in ranked and hot right now. Like if that was the case, it's kind of crazy to think what the prices would be.
right, because it's pretty early in the it's the second home conference game of the year, and it's
Yeah.
like, and if you think these things never go straight up, but if it's funny to think about it in that context of where does this go if it keeps going for the other XL games, because I mean it's the best game on the schedule for the XL anyway.
Just
So
just
that
wait
plays a factor.
by the end of the year, you're gonna be paying like $100 plus to get in for DePaul at XL Center. So save up.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Section listed on.
go ahead, Dob.
Sorry, they have one section listed for Nova. 215, I guess row whatever. I have 241 for
Oh
Wednesday
my,
for one ticket
that's
for section 215 up in the nosebleeds, US, whatever
yeah.
it is.
You really get steep up there.
Yeah, 238, which is obviously right next to the greatest section on planet Earth right now, is 134.
You really got to market those seats as like the adjacent to hot balls section. Jack up those prices a little bit. Get in with
Yeah,
StubHub.
it's you get FOMO value there as well. And I mean, really, the main event of Wednesday night will be on the court, but it will not involve basketball. We haven't even touched on that yet.
I know. I tweeted you earlier. How are you starting to prep for this burrito roll? You stretching out those hammies and stuff?
I have been stretching, believe it or not. I know this sounds ridiculous, but I have been stretching.
I just
totally
picture you
gonna
pop
McMahon and blow 2 quads
yeah,
trying to get
popping a
out.
hamstring, getting down to rolling the burrito paper, and it's like we
I'm definitely gonna scan the front row though and see who's there, and maybe go stop by and say hello to a few people on my
we
way
got
through.
James Doran carrying you off the court there. It's like that James Booknight cramp scene at MSG where it's like 6 guys lifting you up and taking you out.
Mark D'Amelio's got a big old meat hook that's just like dragging my fucking corpse off the court.
Posting all sorts of TikToks with sick filters of you being like brought out on a gurney. All sorts of filters. What did Santa bring on the hot balls chimney? What do you got?
What did I get? No, I got a new grill.
There you
I
go.
got that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was overdue.
You guys will like this. The mother-in-law got me one of the Himura sweatshirts, but she was very concerned that it got printed with a typo. She's like, it should say Jim, right? And I had to go explain the whole him thing. So walking that through with her was fun.
That's great. By the way, what a transfer coup tonight for Himura. UConn getting a 4-star tight end out of Michigan.
Yeah, and
This is serious stuff now.
it is. I think it's like the perfect strategy for the football team to like go get those local area kids because I think I saw he's from Needham, Mass. So it's like go get those kids that go to those P5 schools, don't get the playing time, and are looking for it. It's like the perfect opportunity to swoop in there.
Yeah, it's like the most predictable kind of development. It's like, yeah, no, go take the offer you think's bigger, feel all nice, feel all special. Then when they ignore you, then you can and you actually want to take your career seriously, you can come back.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
This is perfect. It's kind of fun to see. At least those guys. I respect the kids who recognize it rather than the ones who pretend and just never play. So yeah, that's a big get for them. Hot balls. I didn't think really it was a stretching. I thought your quads were kind of an on-off scenario. I didn't think that was stretching was a possibility. So glad you still got that in the bag, I guess.
Yeah, I got a little cook style Achilles heel tendonitis, so I've been icing that lately, stretching out on the old left, getting that all worked out, and all the kinks. But look, being as symmetrical as I am, I expect to attain a pretty high speed going down the court.
Rate of knots coming down the coast.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like a Cadillac, it's a little slow at first. I'm like a rear wheel drive, like you don't kind of have that initial acceleration.
Did our guy Big Larry send you his GoPro that he wore at Myrtle Beach? I feel like we need that footage.
Oh, GoPro. Oh, yeah. Wow. Point of view.
Yeah, I'm pretty
There you
sure
go.
that was subpoenaed by somebody, but it exists. The footage does exist out there somewhere. But no, this is it's a big week, and say goodbye to your family, everyone, because I know Hopball's already sick of this shit. There's no college basketball on today. There's only 5 games tomorrow.
It's been a brutal sports slate the past couple, with the exception of the NFL Saturday. Really, it's been rough.
Yeah, but at least we get back to it. And I'm interested to see how their energy is too off the start because the building will be rocking. But even the crowd, it's kind of a big role to play for the crowd to have the energy because this isn't just coming off of a 3-0, a 2-0 start where the games have been the last couple of days. I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah,
and it was wild. The Georgetown crowd was wild, but it's been 7 days. Everybody's been eating Christmas cookies.
I think you got to look back to last year. Like that place was sold out and packed for that Providence Big East opener, 16,000 strong there, and then they just kind of came out and shit the bed those first few minutes there, and really weren't in the game. So took the crowd out of it for a lot of it. So you just hope you don't get a repeat of that. But I feel like you're going to get these guys out fired up.
Well, the difference in hot balls is alluded to. It's the same thing with the Creighton game, where they weren't exactly an offensive juggernaut.
Right.
If they come out Wednesday and they aren't really shooting great, I still trust they'll come good.
Yeah.
Whereas with last year's team, you could tell pretty quick if it was one of those nights, and it was going to be a grind to get to 75.
I'd be curious, as we're talking about the crowd energy too, people to chime in too. Personally, I hate the 6:30 tip-off time. I think it's just a huge rush to get there if you're trying to get out of work, especially when they're up at Gamble. But XL's a little bit easier, and hopefully most people are got some vacation or are off this week. But curious what people think of the 6:30 times. I personally feel like 7 o'clock is the earliest that these should start, but especially when you got UConn Villanova and those two prime matchups there. But curious what other people think on that too.
Well, I don't want to gas them up, but I mean, Full 40 was talking about it. This should be a 8:30 game earliest. Really, whenever we play them on a television, especially on a weeknight.
Because last year when we had them, it was the standalone game at 8 o'clock. It started on a weeknight, and it gave people some time. I know they've got the party on Pratt stuff, but if you're working, you're really not getting there to do much partying before.
I mean, it doesn't bother me too much during the holiday break. I get it. I think most people are off, and I expect there to be a pretty significant crowd there. But just in general, the one thing I absolutely hate is the 6:30 tip times, particularly out of Gamble.
Yeah,
I'm never on time, ever on time, not a shot. So it's just, I don't know. And especially when you get everybody kind of coming in at the same time in the Gamble, and you got two lanes.
And I'm always hungry at that time too, and there's very limited concessions there. So
well, yeah, that's the other side of it for folks who are lucky to go Wednesday. Plan to get there in the building for 6 because it's going to take forever. Because security and parking, it's going to be a zoo. So it's another vote for the party on Pratt. Just go to that early. That way you just can walk over. And you don't have to worry about hustling in there right at 6:15. I mean, easy for me to say, don't have kids, but that's the other side of having the early starts. And a lot of the UConn schedule just illustrates the fact that Simon Fox's fault. The team's so higher than everybody thought they'd be. If, you can tell just by looking at the way their schedule is. The fact that UConn only has one prime. Fox is doing this prime time Saturday night. They're trying to create a TV window for college basketball this year. UConn's ranked number 2. UConn has one game. So between that and the fact that UConn Nova is the early game, the UConn schedule reeks of it was a schedule created for a team that was supposed to be 3rd or 4th best in the Big East. And now they aren't, and it looks really stupid in some places.
The thing that I don't get is even if they were going to be 3 or 4 in the Big East, still feature them a couple times in primetime. That's a team that's still competing for the top end there.
Well, I'll say this for the Saturday night thing, and all the way. Well, first of all, I love it, guys. Nobody watches college basketball.
Yeah.
Let's just be real about it, okay? The Fox slot is for everything they've got. So they've also got Big Ten games. They've got Pac-12 with Arizona and UCLA. So I get that. But like the number 2 team, I'd find a second spot, but what do I know?
Yeah.
I actually have an issue with a game like tomorrow night where they created the schedule for like a 3rd or 4th place team. All right, fine. But like the craziest Big East atmosphere last year was the UConn hosting Nova game. Why wouldn't you make that like a standalone? Like the first, why isn't it the 8:30 tomorrow on Wednesday night, if anything?
Yeah, you got Xavier at St. John's is that 8:30 game. And just so everyone does not show up tomorrow, since you said it 100 times, I'm just going to correct you one more time.
Night.
The game is Wednesday. I mean, if you want to go camp out at XL, go have some fun with that. But there is no game tomorrow.
I looked it up today again. To be honest with you, I'm kind of
my days of the week are like completely been shot. I have no clue where we are.
I've confused myself with Cody, who I'm sure is already camped out outside the Fiserv Forum for tomorrow night's actual Big East game, which is Seton Hall at Marquette.
Like one of the 5 games, like you said, big deal, Cody.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty big deal. By the way, it's a Seton Hall team that leads in the free throw stat that matters, which is how often you get to the line. They are top 5 in the country in getting to the line. It's a good thing because Seton Hall can do literally nothing else, including sometimes make the free throws. But they're very good at getting to the line. I don't know why the hell UConn Nova isn't the 8:30 game Wednesday. I don't. That baffles me. Yeah, but it is what it is.
We need some flex scheduling like in the NFL here.
Well, they already have it, and that the last day of the season is flexible, and that's why we don't technically know the start time for like UConn at Nova.
Yeah,
but that to me makes it weirder. So you do a schedule where you build it in, but only for the last game. I don't get it.
Just to hit on something you were saying a minute ago, just because got the local NBC Connecticut on in the background here, and they just had a story on about parking delays.
They say the game's tomorrow?
No, about parking issues and delays expected for Wednesday night. So again, just another plug to get there early if you can.
Yeah, that'll be a mess. So I'm taking. By the way, yeah. So like next Wednesday, UConn at Providence is the 8:30, but like UConn Nova isn't. What are we doing? And then Wednesday the 11th is just a straight up 7:00 game at Marquette.
Are we firing up the Hot Balls minivan there to head to Providence next week?
I'm not in on that one. I am more looking at the week after look, I have the day off, but getting down to it's going to be hard for the road fans to get to Newark for a 6:30 tip. I'll say
that. As much as I'd love to go see Cody there and see him in action in the section there, that'll be a TV one for me.
Yeah, that's good. The 8:30 start time at Providence is, I don't know. Thinking about it though, I'll probably go.
I think I might too.
Yeah, it's going to be, and I don't even blame him in a way. If you're a Providence fan and the way this thing's going, like if you can get $300 for your UConn tickets, I wouldn't begrudge them if they did that. Not just because it helps UConn, but like,
well, they're pretty jazzed up right now. They think they're turning around now with the win over Marquette and Seton Hall. So.
Yeah, well, those are 2 big wins, and that actually hurts them in the UConn game because we know it's when they actually are dog shit. That's when they beat UConn. It's never the good. It's usually not the good Providence team. Last year doesn't count. Obviously, they refused the rematch based on Mid-South Wrestling rules that they were fucking abiding by for that entire godforsaken season. But yeah, no, Providence has started to get together, and you kind of knew they would. In a lot of ways, it makes sense. Given that the quality of coaching they have, that was a huge win for them over Marquette, and they've got a big one this week with they've got a stretch of Butler DePaul, two-leg road trip before the UConn game, so their fan base gets to go all jazzed up on friggin' Rajol and Pasta Fajoul because their next home game is the UConn game.
So they could be 4-0 in the Big East heading into that one.
Yeah.
All right.
And they could also be 2-2.
And DePaul's going winless.
They had a big "We want UConn" chant that broke out at the last game. Okay.
Hot balls, DePaul. It's God.
I think
It's
Thursday night is DePaul Georgetown, by the way. So if you've been deprived of college basketball these past couple nights, like bookmark that one Thursday night.
Yeah, and that's the great thing too, because like if it's a bad night Wednesday night, you get to take it all out the next day.
We might have
yourself.
to live space stream that one, and just we could all watch on our different speeds and.
I think Georgetown might boat race them. Sadly,
I could see that.
It depends which Georgetown team. It doesn't even depend which Georgetown team shows up. There's only one that's pretty bad, but whether or not Patrick knows to use timeouts, that would be big in that game. But I didn't get to watch much of yesterday. Hot balls. Like, is Creighton just now figuring it out, or is DePaul just a lost sad cause?
well, I mean, I thought Creighton's spacing looked a lot better, but it's really hard to tell anything watching them anybody play DePaul right now. I mean, DePaul down 4 starters and a bench guy. Like, they've got like 8 fucking basketball players. I'm not even sure they have that right now. So, like, it's hard to tell. I mean, it looks better. It looks a lot better. Trey Alexander bumped his 3-point shooting percentage up, of course, after we shit talked it for 2 weeks. Went absolutely ham from 3. So maybe floor spacing is a bigger deal from them than we think. But I don't know.
It's gonna be.
I'm gonna keep that confidence to defend them.
Creighton's got they've got like a solid 10 days off now. They don't play till next Tuesday after playing Christmas, so it's a pretty long layoff. They got Seton Hall and then they got us. So they're not playing a ton before they get to us. But
just poor DePaul. Like, the Big East asked every school who wanted to play on Christmas. DePaul said, "Sure, we'll play." They said, "Yeah, Creighton."
They really should have put the Georgetown DePaul game. That should have been Christmas.
Yeah,
that would have been a whale of a Christmas present for the conference to give us all.
They literally should have been. Look, when the ratings come out, that's going to be one of the 3 highest rated games this year for the league. You're wondering why, it's the only thing that was on. It was after an NFL game. That's actually a huge window. It's similar to what the NFL saw last year when they put on Thanksgiving Day, they had the Raiders playing the Cowboys, and everyone was all shocked the rating was big. They're like, "Oh, so whoever we put on here," it's like, yeah, it's the only thing on TV. Now, yesterday you had NBA, but like, you don't have much else. It's going to get a huge.
You know where they really should put DePaul Georgetown, because it was pretty successful on Thanksgiving. That was Nickelodeon. I mean, DePaul Georgetown, and you got like the fake slime coming down on Patrick Ewing as you're waiting for him to call a timeout. It's like guys slipping around, they throw the slime on the court. Like that would be perfect.
That's actually a really good idea. We're good. We'll see if we can shop this around.
Maybe Bob Diaco. Maybe Bob
ideas.
Diaco's around if he's got some time to help us pitch the Nickelodeon idea again. A man well ahead of his time.
That's a way to describe it. Yeah, if anybody wants to jump in, feel free to request. I actually haven't got much. So
wait,
yeah, JB jumped in here, so JB's probably got something.
What's going on, JB?
What's going on, everybody? How was your Christmas?
Good. How about yours?
Good.
Yeah, it was good. I had moved into a new house this year, so some of my family members were gracious enough to help me out with some items, which was
Very
nice. And spend time with family, which was really nice. This was the first Christmas in 2 years, I think, that we've been able to have our whole usual crew. So it was nice. It was really, really nice.
Oh, good. We're glad. Now you get to come hang out with the UConn family on Wednesday night.
Oh yes, yeah. I'm very down for the whole guess the face name. It's pretty funny. I had pictures of myself on here for a while, and then I just got bored and changed it to Obi-Wan because go Star Wars. So I have a feeling some of you might be like, oh yeah, that guy. But otherwise,
we'll play that. Or we gotta get like name tags or something like.
Hello, my name is.
Yeah. I figured it was Obi-Wan or Jesus every time I look at it. I have to like do a double take.
That's why it's my. Listen. I'm a big meme guy, That's my favorite Star Wars meme because it's just listen. I think everybody here, if you're a Star Wars fan, whether you like it, hate it, whatever, I think we can all say Clone Wars probably one of the more polarizing movies in terms of where people fall on how they feel about it. And the opinions are just so crazy because of all the CGI and everything. It's just a wacky movie. And so just that and just, yes, everything you said too. It's the best.
All right, that made me think of something. Here's content. All right, give me like top 3 Christmas movies, JB.
Okay. All right. So I'm actually glad you asked that because I have what will probably be a controversial number one. All right. So I'm going to say in no particular order for now, but Elf is up there for
Good
me.
choice.
Then the child in me is going to come out here. I'm not going to pick out one specific, but I always like having one afternoon where I'm watching some of the cartoons and shit. I don't know why. It just makes me happy. But my number one Christmas movie, just because I think the first time I saw it, I was probably at an age where I just found this movie hysterical, and it's so funny, and it's just such a wacky movie. Jingle All the Way. It is
I
so
love
good.
Jingle All the Way.
That will always be my favorite Christmas movie. Just two dads fighting over an action figure, and then while the other guy is trying to sleep with his wife. Oh my god, I love that movie. That movie is just above and beyond just hilarious. Like the whole bomb threat in the radio studio. It's just like, come on, like who thinks of this crap? And that's Sinbad, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, and
Yeah, no,
Schwarzenegger.
it's a.
And that's the other thing. It's like it's Schwarzenegger, so it's like he's in a whole smorgasbords of movies, but it's just like that's the Terminator.
I was saying to my wife because we were watching this a couple weeks ago, and I'm kind of surprised because they make a sequel of everything now. I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been a Jingle All the Way 2 yet, because I could see it and I think it'd be funny, but just something that I'm surprised they haven't ventured into the sequel for that yet.
I'm kind of glad they haven't though, because like it's like Elf, you know what I mean? Like there's certain movies where I'd be like, yeah, you could do a sequel, and if it's funny, like even if it's worse, I'll be like, yeah, it's good. Like if they made an Elf 2, like it would have to just be so ridiculously funny. But
Did
it
anyone?
wouldn't be,
I don't know if you saw this, JB, but Purdue dressed up one of their guys as Buddy the Elf. Has anyone else seen this HurleyMania Hot Balls? Have you seen this? I know everyone's been ragging on Purdue, but like go watch this. They like dressed him up in the costume and like had him recreate scenes from the movie around campus, like the one where he's like answers the phone for his dad in the office. It's like he's sitting there with Matt Painter and he answers the phone for him and does like the Buddy the Elf thing. They got he's like making fun of the AD's name. He goes in like how Buddy goes into the coffee shop and congratulates them. He goes in where like the world's biggest drum is. It's really funny. It's like 2 minutes. I definitely recommend trying to dig that up if you can. If I can find the link, I'll share it out there. But very funny.
DePaul really killed it this year with the Christmas Story flagpole scene. You see that?
No, I don't think I saw that one though.
Yeah, DePaul.
that
DePaul,
was
the whole
great.
team did one. The kid licked the flagpole, and yeah, it was.
All right, we gotta get our guys in on something next year.
Yeah,
it's got to be a bad Santa reference.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Because I was gonna say all our people are just doing these sick edits of just our team dunking on all of Division One, like Out for Blood. Meanwhile, you got these wholesome other programs doing earnest Christmas items.
Did anyone see Dan Hurley's amazing Christmas sweater the other day?
Yeah, can we talk about
he needs to coach in that next year. If Izzo coached in the elf sweater, he could coach in that next year.
Tom Izzo getting Rumpelstiltskin on everybody, by the way.
I was gonna say,
like, let's see James Breeding try to toss Hurley in that sweater.
I mean, challenge accepted, but yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was just so ridiculous. Like watching him in the elf sweat. Like, come on. Like how is that real?
Well, the best is the players backing him up. Like, how do you keep a straight face? He was so mad. He was like legitimately like piping hot, man. Like he was
was an
ready to
angry
stomp his
elk.
foot through the floor and explode, just like a little Rumpelstiltskin.
The sort of thing that sounds like it's like a test or something of the players. Like, is this some sort of test of me? No, it's really coaches in an elf
I wish
costume,
they
and he's losing his
tossed
mind.
him. Like, imagine him having to like march off the court like all sulky in that sweater.
That was one situation where I would have been okay with the Big Ten taking Fanta for some games. Like, can you imagine John announcing that?
They need Gus on that one too. Him and Gus.
Yeah, I bet. By the way, we better friggin' have Gus and Raph on Wednesday. Okay, like they dicked around enough that it's a 6:30 game. I don't need friggin' the War of Northern Aggression Tim Brando ass on the call. Okay, can we get fucking the real people in, please?
I want
Some
to
professionals.
say I think I saw Tim Brando tweet though that he was going to be there. I'm going to go see if I can find it. I could have sworn when he was like flying home, he was like home for the holidays and then back for UConn Nova.
Okay, so like, look, my thoughts aside, like Tim Brando's a very good announcer, but like that's one where like it's one thing for the game to have a weird tip time. How does the league not have their number one pair doing that game? Like, what is unless Gus is doing some holiday stuff, which he might be, although I doubt it. Like, what the hell? Like, you're about to do a TV deal. You need to present as good of a product as you have. Put your big guns on the big game.
I apologize. He is off until Tim Brando is off until UConn Creighton. That's when he's back.
That's not much better, but all right.
So there's still a chance of Gus. Let me see if I can do some digging and find out.
Yeah, if they posted the game notes yet, which they probably haven't, they'd be on there. But man, the league's about to go into a major TV negotiating window, and I don't know, folks. Like, they'll get money, but I just hope everyone's like prepared that it's probably not going to be every game on TV, and like the league needs to the league needs to present itself as good as it can, and I don't think it has it the way it's set up the schedule this year. But none of us at UConn was a top team, so I kind of a bit of a break there too. It would really behoove the league for Creighton to actually get on a run here, though, in that regard, because a lot of the NFL Week 15-ish on Creighton here. They need Creighton to not be a disaster, and they might have started to get things rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean that's just the thing. They just need every year the league just needs to have a best in show and then a best supporting actor. And as long as and then just an interesting next 2 to 3 teams, which I think they'll get there by the end of the year. But is it going to show out throughout the year? I don't know. I really don't know.
Where are you? What are your thoughts on St. John's this week?
Yeah,
this is my weekly check-in.
They stink. They're not good. I was hopeful. But I don't know, man. They could maybe have a game or two where they go off, but they're not beating any of the top 4 teams in this league. I don't think. I don't think they're a tournament team.
Yeah, the thing that the league really needs is they need at least the second kind of dog this year, because otherwise this had the potential to be like a Gonzaga situation. But I think they'll get between Nova and Creighton. I think one of them will be a solid, like, I don't know, 6. It's hard for me to put Nova much higher than a 60 just because of what the non-conference is. But if Whitmore comes in and has this big of an impact, they can make a case for it. And the league needs to somehow get at least 4 bids, I think, to not be a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I got Xavier too.
I mean, obviously, I think us and Xavier are pretty safely in at this point. And I'm buying Marquette. I think they're a tournament team too. And I think Nova's going to get in. It's just can we sneak a 5th place? Can we sneak a 5th in? Right? Like Can Butler figure it out? Can Seton Hall is not going to figure it out. DePaul, Georgetown, not going to figure it out. I'm out on St. John's completely at this point. Providence shot. They're 63rd right now in Ken Palm, moving up. Surprisingly, Seton Hall is 65th, by the way. But we'll see. A big win or two could do wonders for Providence. And who else do we got that might be in the conversation? Probably just Providence and Butler really is a chance to kind of make a run from the pack. Maybe St. John's if they can figure something out. But, I think 4 bids is pretty sound. I think we may be able to sneak a 5th.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the 4 who they are too. Like I like all 4 of those teams to actually. I actually think at least 3 of them. Well, we'll have to see who the matchups are, and it's in 3 months. But all those teams I look at, I'm like, okay, I could see this team making the Sweet 16, and it wouldn't be weird to me. Like it's not like when you get 7 teams and like one of them's a 10 seed. All those teams I can see winning.
Have you seen enough from Marquette that you're comfortable in them? Because I go back and forth a little bit. I think they're pretty good, but I still waver a little on them.
My one concern with them is this is almost exactly what happened last year with them. And they got hot around this time of year, tailed off, got the tournament, and got boat raced. So, my argument for them is they I would hope that they and Shaka will have the knowledge of what happened last year and adjust. But yeah, it's I can't deny having questions.
They were a quick scout come January, but their metrics are pretty good, and they are 346 in luck. So
the anti-Providence.
Yeah, I mean they're what is it? They're in 40th in offense right now. No, I lie. They're not. They're 17th in offensive efficiency, and they are 62nd in defensive efficiency. And they, from the eye test, look like a much better defensive team than they look to be an offensive team. So, and Smart's a really good defensive coach, so I think they'll figure that out. But yeah, I mean they've got some luck issues so far this year, and they've been surprising. So they're 27th in Ken Palm. I think that's probably about right.
And they have a huge game Saturday as well. Hold on. Excuse me. They have a huge game Saturday because they go to Finneran Pavilion. So off the back of, Villanova's got a hell of a week in front of them too because they've got to deal with UConn and Marquette at home. So that I think that'll tell us a lot about Marquette because I actually thought I learned a lot about them last week because they were getting drilled out of the blocks by Providence when we were all watching the UConn Georgetown game. But they came back into that game and it went to double OT. So even though they lost that game, like it looked 10 minutes in like that was not going to be competitive. So I actually think they can take a lot of positives off of that. And, it's a chance for them to get a statement win Saturday if they can get it. It obviously won't be easy, but if they get that, then yeah, I'm going to take them a lot more seriously. And even if they're just like, it's hard to say competitive because Nova's been off this year, but that's the kind of game where like they can't get, if they get boat raced, I'm not going to think of them like St. John's, but I'm going to have some St. John's with to Marquette a little bit, where it's really going to be a lot of depending on the day, on any day. It's the 2 teams that I can fundamentally say are the team that will not win the Big East tournament. There's only one, is St. John's. Because they cannot put 3 games in a row together. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Even Georgetown has a 1 in a million shot. There is a 0% chance St. John's can do it. Just the way they're constructed.
You know who has disappointed me? That like I know they weren't very high coming into the season, but I did think Butler would be able to compete a little bit more than they are right now.
Yeah, that's probably more of a long-term build than any of us wanted it to be because of how good Mata is, but like the pieces are what they are to some degree. And I would also stress, I mean, it's as tough of a first 2 games in the league as you can get this year. UConn home, Creighton on the road. I'm not judging Butler.
That's
yet,
fair.
at all. I mean, their next three. Look, Province at home's big, but then they get Georgetown, DePaul. If they're 3-2 after that, they're
Yeah.
fine. They're right in the middle of the league. They'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, I'm there. I'm still not really buying either way on them. I think they're kind of the exact middle of the conference with a chance to be a little bit better. I like them better than St. John's.
Yeah.
Like, I like them better than Seton Hall. Like, I like them better than DePaul and Georgetown. Like, I think they're kind of the middle of the conference right now. The chance to get a little bit better. I mean, I think Butler and Providence are going to be the two teams that'll have a chance to play themselves into the tournament, but they're going to have to win some big games and maybe steal a game or two against a really good team like us or a Xavier or whoever right now. But just the problem, I think, for a lot of the middling teams in the league has just been that Villanova's start was so shitty and Creighton's start was so shitty that, like, you're getting those games at a particular point. Like, I don't know. Their resume might actually be better in reality than it looks on paper by the time you get to the end. But, I don't know. That's just what really killed everybody. Thankfully, Xavier and us have had two pretty good starts. But not everybody else has looked particularly good. So that's really my concern more than anything. But I don't know. I think it might have a way of working itself out. So we'll see. But I'm definitely in on 4 teams making the tournament for sure. It's just going to be a question as to whether or not we can get 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm buying. I would buy low on Butler now because I think the way their schedule sets up, and it comes for those middle teams. A lot of it is, they're going to give up a run. That's why they're middle teams. When there's a 12-0 run thrown on them on the road at Gamble, who's the guy that's in the timeout trying to figure it out? I'll take Thad Matta over Patrick Ewing. That would be my that would be my situation in terms of a guy able to put his team in the best position to overcome that and try and get matchups because Thad's really, really good. It's just early. It's a long way to go.
Well, it's year
I
one
still
with
think Butler
not a lot of
could make the
additions,
tournament.
and Ali is just. I think he's due back any day now, but like he's one of their best rim protectors on top of it. So Bates will finally have some help up front, which I think will help them considerably, especially with regards to spacing the floor. So, I don't know. They're a to be determined team with me. I mean, I don't know. Like I'm not. I guess I'm not as hand wringing about the conference as everybody else is. Maybe this year, yeah, it's down year for the league, I think. But I mean, heading forward, I think this league's gonna be outstanding. I mean, there's some really
I would
fucking
agree.
good basketball. I mean, like, I'm buying on a lot of programs. I mean, I think Providence has found like a wheelhouse for them. I think they're a middling team this year, but they might be our primary competition next year for the top of the league. I think Sean Miller's going to get it going at Xavier. I've said it a million times, I love Thad Matta at Butler. I think they're only going to continue to get better, particularly as he starts to hit the recruiting trail. There's a lot of teams that I like. And yeah, I mean, I think part of the question mark is, can Villanova maintain their status? I don't know if that's going to happen. Which I think puts more pressure on UConn, right, to have to kind of step in and fill that void. But I mean, I don't know if there's another team that's as lined up as well long term than we are right now, just from a roster management standpoint. I mean, between the recruiting class that we have coming in, what we presumably have coming back, like we're going to be good for. I mean, we've got a legitimate window that opened, I think, a year earlier than people thought it was going to. But like the next 3 years, we could be consistently a top 10 team. So I don't know, man. I'm pretty consistent. I'm pretty, positive that we're going to be able to hold the line up top. I think Butler's going to get better. I think Providence is going to bump itself into more of a permanent place in the top 5, depending on what Cooley wants to do. But I don't see a reason for him to leave right now. So there's that. I keep thinking somebody's going to figure it out at St. John's. But if Rick Pitino comes in, that's going to be fucking funny. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to get weird quick, man. Like, it's like the league, I think, is really positioned well right now. I just think we have, Villanova kind of in a weird, awkward, transition. I don't think everybody's. I mean, I think most of the league kind of gets that. Yeah, we're pretty good this year, but there's still definitely that undercurrent of denial. I think that existed from the day we showed back up in the house. We haven't really proved it yet. That's why I feel like the Wednesday game could be a big thing, at least in terms of perception with the rest of the league, right? Like, again, knock on wood here, not expecting it, but what if we do go in and beat them, the brakes off of them by 25? Like, I don't care if it's a down year. That's taking the biggest dog in the yard and fucking beating the shit out of them in front of everybody to see, right? And so sometimes you need to have those from a perception standpoint, kind of get yourself to that spot where people are like, all right, maybe these guys are for real. But yeah, I mean, I'm buying the league big time right now. I think it's positioned really, really well. The only places, that are really concerning right now are clearly Georgetown. I don't know how to fix that. And yeah, I mean, DePaul too, I guess. But like DePaul has always been that, right? And, the other thing to remember too is every league has them. Like,
Yeah, somebody has to
everybody's got a
finish 10th
Georgetown
every
and
year.
DePaul. Like, fucking, I don't know how you fix Boston College if you're the ACC. I don't know what you do with that, right? Like, if you're the Pac-12, Washington State, Oregon State, Cal, not exactly lighting the world on fire the last couple of years. Like, every league's got them, man. So, it's just one of those things where it's like, I mean, every league's going to have teams that are kind of floundering a little bit, but it's, what's the potential to get better, with the teams that are sort of that middle of the pack that maybe have underachieved or underperformed. And I think, in a weird way, we've really kind of had the luck of the draw. I mean, I don't know, man. 8 years ago, you tell somebody like the Big East could potentially have, Thad Matta, Rick Pitino. I mean, fill in any kind of hotshot young coach for Hurley, I guess. Sean Miller. I think people would have been pretty fucking excited about that.
Yeah,
Like,
it shows the drawing power of the league is still there, which is really important in terms of the long-term stability of the league, that these elite level guys want to come and coach here.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the league's fine. I think this is just a kind of a weird off year for the league where you have, the at least the team that's been the quote unquote traditional power for the last 10 years in the league in a down year in the middle of a major coaching change. Right. So that's weird. Us kind of arriving a year early. I mean, I think the potential for this was certainly there. Right. But I mean, even a lot of the most optimistic UConn fans I don't think we were thinking that we'd be a top 2 team in the country by last week in December. I don't think that was on anybody's. And I think that's taken some adjustment. And then you just have St. John's is kind of disappointing. Xavier is Xavier. I mean, they're even in a weirder way, almost more souped up version of what they were last year, which is they score even more, absolutely hammer down threes and defend even less. And so I don't know. It's just a kind of a strange, DePaul, I think people were a little optimistic for maybe them to take a step forward, and then everybody got injured. So I don't know. I just think it's a weird year for the league. They happen, right? But like long term, I think we'll be okay. And I think there's going to be some drawing power, and some rivalries that I think are going to start to emerge. And this is kind of some of those years where those start to kind of formulate and become a thing.
And to a large extent, it actually, for UConn, the status of the Big East this year really doesn't matter in many ways. Like, that they don't need to worry about it really at the end they're fishing in for this year. Like this isn't a Gonzaga trying to get a 1 seed or Wichita State. Like UConn doesn't even need to worry itself about that. I'm bringing it up because it's interesting, but it doesn't actually affect UConn really this year.
Yeah, well, guys, I'm just gonna sign off for the evening here. I got to get up early for work in the morning, but I will see you all Wednesday. Shameless self plug for our live post game spaces at the Cat by Cafeteria, right next to the XL Center. And if you're looking for anything to get ready for Villanova game, I've got you with 2 podcast episodes. Connecticut Scoreboard podcast. We got one with Alex Caravan and one with our friend at the Full 40, giving you the preview of all things Nova. So shameless self plugs before I sign off for the night. Hope everyone had a great holiday, and HurleyMania and Hot Balls. I'll leave it to you.
Thank you, Jared. Pros pro as always.
I try.
And see you at Pratt Street pregame, possibly, depending on your working schedule. Also party on Pratt. That'll be a scene as well. Hot Balls, we get Mary in the building on Wednesday, don't we?
I believe Mary's coming, yeah.
As long as she doesn't burn any more pies, right?
Well, the only people that might be getting burned are us, because is she bringing her husband?
Oh, yeah. No, there's a burn notice. You will be compromised to a permanent end. There's going to be an issue there around the burrito roll. I don't think he's coming to this game. He might be coming to the Creighton game.
Yeah.
We'll wait for more word from the press secretary as events warrant.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of interesting sheeple coming to this game. So I'm going to be very interested to see what humans everybody decides to accessorize themselves with.
Beautifully put, as always.
I thought so. I thought it was eloquent. I was really feeling myself as it was coming up from my subcockle areas.
Yeah, to that end, how do you not record the drunk spaces the other night? I wasn't there. Now
There was nothing that would have been good coming out of that if I recorded.
Exactly.
That. Nothing was good. That drunk spaces needed to stay where drunk spaces is, which is probably floating around in Elon's inbox somewhere.
Hey, you should probably check this out. We should probably ban a guy for this.
Yeah, no. So like definitely started in the gutter, found its way into the sewer, back to the water treatment plant, into the air, fell down all the way down out of the sky, got pissed down again, and back into the sewer. It was awful from the beginning all the way through. Absolutely,
I feel like
the most culturally worthless audio content I've ever produced in my entire life.
Yeah, and apparently a Butler fan existed, which was the proof of that they apparently exist.
Yeah, Encino Man is what we're going to call him from now on, and he is actually in the request holding pen. I'm keeping him in there. I don't know if we've domesticated him yet.
This is a real thing that exists. Wow. I
asked him a
lot
of questions. I was like, "What tools do you use?" And like, do you guys like, what things do you guys eat? Like, are you like herbivores or carnivores? Like, is it berries and nuts? Like, how do you hunt in packs or like solo? Do you guys use venom or weapons? Like, they're like a whole other species. Well, if DePaul is an advanced civilization, Butler fans are a long lost civilization.
Their greatest advertisement was on air again tonight. The best ad for Butler basketball is the Indianapolis Colts. So another successful evening towards getting the attention of the state capital of Indiana towards Butler. Because it probably shouldn't be on IU because they're a fraud, by the way. I don't know if you've watched them. Indiana tried to schedule big and did, and it has not worked. Drastically, it has not worked.
Yeah, I'm way out on them now, too. Way out on them.
I really wish we could somehow have traded schedules this year. Both programs would have been better off with UConn playing Kansas and Arizona and Indiana. Maybe you guys figure Long Island out, and then we'll see where we get. Yeah, they're going to be really interesting to watch. They're currently the third betting favorite in the Big Ten, which as we turn to conference play is going to be a thing to watch. I'm going to be interested in just as a fan of the sport because it's going to be. I mean, Purdue's going to be the pick there, but after that, I mean, who is the second best team in the Big Ten? Is it? I think it's probably Ohio State, but
Ohio State's close. I'm not buying. I just can't buy Indiana. I don't know. I'm not buying Maryland yet either. I feel like they have the undercurrent of being a fraud as well. Hell no on Rutgers. One team I am kind of watching with some interest out there just to see what could happen if they get going downhill a little bit. Could be Wisconsin.
mm-hmm.
That they just always kick their coverage. Like, I feel like they're the mid-2000s Chicago White Sox, which was a team like on paper, statistically, like you'd look at and be like, yeah, I mean, they're fine, right? Like they had some, above average guys, maybe the odd superstar, but like they always used to stay healthy and win fucking 88 games and win the American League Central every year, or 90 games, or obviously a big cry from the top tier elite teams of the era, although they did win one in 05. But a lot of those like Jay Burley teams, like they were all kind of like the same thing, man. And they just always found a way to outkick their coverage. Wisconsin kind of strikes me as that, or at least I'll say this, the team that maybe has the best shot to like find some consistency in what they are. I'm underwhelmed with Michigan State this year. I just don't think they're that. I don't know. I don't hate Iowa.
Well, the other one that's kind of in the room there is Illinois, and I just don't trust them long term. They're an awful free throw shooting team, which always gives me a weird vibe. I also don't think their offense is as good as it should be. It's hard to quantify that. Like they're very, very, very paint reliant, which I mean I like Coleman Hawkins, but I don't love Coleman Hawkins. Like I don't know. It feels like Illinois is a team that's going to the lack of outside shooting and the struggle at the free throw line. It's hard for me to see them winning the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm at with them. I'm not buying. I mean, 65% from the free throw line is insane too. I didn't even realize that.
It's really hard to do. It's
and they're
really
having some chemistry issues too right now, aren't they? I saw something the other day. I haven't kept up on them.
Yeah, they are. And Brad Underwood's like fucking the worst guy to have in charge when you're having that happen. Like, I think he's a good coach, just not exactly Captain Cuddly there. And he's a guy. Look, Illinois has a whiff of the Maryland fan base to it historically,
right,
of demanding way too much, and would not surprise me to see them do something really stupid and overreact after this season if they don't make the Sweet 16. It would be stupid to do, but this was the number one overall seed in 2021. Got bounced by Loyola in the second round, and then last year, not much better in terms of the NCAA tournament. They got drilled by Houston. Drilled after they barely got past Chattanooga. They got boat raced by Houston, and this year they're always the same kind of team every year, and it's pretty hard to do what he's done there. But it's also a fan base that is just desperate to be in the Michigan State tier and Purdue tier. I feel like the Illinois fans look at Purdue and they're like, why isn't that us? And what's not going to get you there is canning Brad Underwood, but they might be stupid enough to try it. So, Billy Donovan gets fired with the Bulls. They're in Chicago. You just get Billy Donovan to Illinois. Like, that's sort of dumb shit they would fucking think. So I'm interested to follow Illinois this year because that could be an incendiary situation. As is Kevin Willard's already complaining about the Big Ten schedule. Did not take him very long. He's 3 games in at Maryland in the league, already bitching about the setup, as if it's some fucking shock. So, yeah, that's kind of the Big Ten. And now we get to that's kind of how it is now. It's just gonna be checking in on all these other leagues, checking
Yeah, I
on
mean,
what's going
I'm
on
not.
in the Big 12.
Kevin's just gonna have to get used to shit over there. They don't give a shit about basketball over there. I mean, there's a couple schools that kind of do, but they don't give a fuck. So enjoy the schedule, buddy. Have fun.
Well, to that end, because they were involved yesterday, remember that 5 minutes when we all had to pretend to give a shit about SMU basketball? Glad that's over. That is not coming back.
They're terrible.
They got taken down by my Bows at the Horn in Honolulu. I kind of like this Hawaii team. I've been following them, as people know. I end up working late. I see him a lot. Love Irangano, their coach.
He's a good coach, dude. And
he's really, really, really good.
I would never leave there, ever.
No, that's why would you? He's got a New England background too.
Yeah, I don't even like the beach, and I wouldn't leave Hawaii. That's like, perfect.
Yeah, like I hope Cal offers him the job and he like records the call just to laugh at them. Like, why would you? Because I was talking with Sage about this last night. Like, he's a really great coach, but at the same time, I don't know like where the hell he's a fit for. Like, yeah, he should just stay, but inevitably something dopey will happen where like fucking Vanderbilt will make a call or some shit that makes no sense. And then it turns into a Kyle Smith scenario. Another guy who's like good coach, but like, why the hell are you going to San Francisco? All right, you did all right. Why are you taking the Wazoo job? Like, buddy, you don't need that paycheck at that age. Like, that's just a fucking train to nowhere.
Oh,
so yeah. There's no scenario in which Arangano should leave Hawaii. He's got a good thing going out there, and it's beautiful beach weather as God intended. So
awful. It's the worst.
The other fun one's going to be watching the SEC is going to be a complete fucking circus to watch this year.
Yeah, I think the SEC is going to be a train wreck. I love Alabama. We've talked about them incessantly. I think Auburn is a total fraud. I think Kentucky's metrics, the fact that they're even 10th on Ken Palm is hilarious. They're bad. Like, that's not even a good team.
But what if they try?
Well, I mean, depends. Yeah, maybe they do want to try. I don't know. We'll see. But they're going to have to really try in the conference this year because Alabama's really good. Arkansas, even without their point guard, still seems to be pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
They might be scary good by the end of the year, man. I don't know. I'm starting to buy more and more back on old Pig Suey here. And Tennessee, Tennessee's do what they always are, man. Tennessee is a Rick Barnes team. They defend really well. They're okay-ish offensively. Everybody's going to get all hot and bothered. They're going to fucking shit all over themselves for 3 or 4 games, and everybody will forget about it. But they can defend, man. So they'll be pretty interesting. Even our old buddy Chris Jans is having off to a nice start at Mississippi State. I'm not sold on them, mind you, but that's some old school trauma creeping back up to the surface again.
Absolutely. That is an all defense, no offense scenario at Mississippi State. It's been impressive, but they defend. They are a horrendous offensive team and an excellent defensive team. There's actually the other end of it. I'm really excited. The 2 Mizzou A&M games are going to be a catastrophe. Neither of those teams gives a single fuck about playing defense. It's awesome. They just are such frauds. They're horrific defensive teams, Mizzou and A&M, and that's why one of them is going to be in the first 4. I haven't decided which one yet, but one of them is going to get there. They're going to fall.
Texas A&M might be tough, man. No, they're down.
Yeah, A&M's a tough one. Mizzou is like
6-5 right now. I don't know if they're kicking out of that hole.
That's my early Christmas gift for you all. Mizzou on a bracket. Take the other side if they show up, because they do not play a flying fuck of defense. They make the team that had Oriaki and lost to Norfolk State, which was the most predictable thing that's ever happened. They make that look like this year's UConn team defensively. Dennis Gates, just aggressively. I love him. I really do. Not a defense guy. Okay, like strongly not a defense guy. And that's going to be an adjustment he's going to have to make in his career if he wants to last at Mizzou, because it's a very short history for him, and it does not feature defense whatsoever. Wasn't Dennis Gates one of the names around BC? Am I remembering that right?
I believe so. Yeah, no, he was a guy who was very much bandied about there during the last. I just don't know why you go to BC for anything at this point.
No, yeah, absolutely not. He made the right move. 3 years at Cleveland State. He made the tournament in 21, and in his first
Look at
season
Iona.
at Mizzou.
Look at Iona perched at 62nd on KenPom now.
What helps them is that they have a couple of wins of like only 1 or 2 wins, and they don't seem great, but they're the kind of wins. Actually, fuck, they only have 1 win that's good. St. Louis is one of the weirder teams in the country. Like, they might be the best team in the A10, and they lost to Edwardsville. Like, I don't know how to. That's pretty bad. Losing to Boise's bad. But then they might win a really.
The A10 is really down this year.
Mm-hmm.
Really down.
It's kind of scary how it fell off so fast. So one of the things I like to do with KenPom is if you click on like the league name, you get all the teams, obviously what their ranks are in the league. Duh. Well, if you scroll down, you get the ranking of the conferences. And what it's basically doing is taking a team that's expected to go 500 in that league and stacking them up versus like a team that goes 500 in the Big East versus a team that goes 500 in like the Summit League. So the A10 is 11th.
Yeah,
it's really big. The sadder one is the Missouri Valley being 13th, but they've just been cut up like Sunny at a friggin' toll booth. So I kind of get it for the MVC. Our mortal enemies, the WAC, is 12th, which is fucking incredible given who's in that league now. And Conference USA is trying to make a go of this. They are above the A10. They are the 10th rated league in the country, led by. You have 3 solid teams in the top 60 in KenPom, which is fucking incredible. FAU, UAB, and North Texas. North Texas folks are familiar with. They've had a really good run the last couple of years in the NCAA tournament under Grant McCaslin, who's definitely a name to keep an eye on in terms of like major jobs opening up, because that's a dude who's done a phenomenal job at North Texas since he got there, and I think might be I haven't looked into the background, but if he's not the next head coach at Texas, I would be pretty surprised. Although we got the fucking disgusting Christmas Eve news dump, I guess they're just gonna try and do this, Hot Balls.
Yeah, it's so Texas, it's not even funny. I tweeted it out. Like, I can't, there's no other way I can put it. Like, you can just see the fucking fat 68-year-old cop sitting there fucking with his shades on and his fucking stupid hat and being there and tugging on his belt buckle and being like, y'all don't really think he did that to her now, did you?
And that's when I grab him by his big fucking his fucking bolo tie lapel and go, yes, I absolutely think he did that.
Yeah, he's just, there's just no doubt about it. It's so bad, man. Like,
well, even the way that they leaked the awful attempt at backpedaling doesn't even give me a third of a second of wine to believe it. Like, Christmas Eve, 6 p.m., like, this isn't even trying to, like, are they just going through, my optimistic take is they're going through the steps to go, well, no, we had to fire him, we try, like, because it's such a bad attempt at spin. Like, no, I'm pleasantly surprised how absolutely nobody tried to pick that. Like, it's like the college basketball media, usually you'd expect 1 or 2 of them. So they're like, well, she took it back. Nope, not a single one that I saw was falling for it, and good on them, because it's fucking bullshit. If he gets to keep that job, it's a disgrace. So, yeah, Grant McCaslin would be a name to keep an eye on there. Let's see, your buddy. By the way, Hot Balls, I just want to register the Mountain West having the 3 hot start teams did not change the fact that they're actually not a good league. I just hope you understand that.
Don't make fun of my league.
They have 7 top 100 KenPom teams.
I know.
That's good. They also have Air Force. That's not as good.
Chair Force. Not coming through.
We need to. Is there going to be a Space Force Academy? And if so, can it join the Mountain West?
Oh. You think they're
You're
closer
so
to space?
excited.
You have to figure the geographics work out for that.
I can't have them some bullshit where they like join the Big South. They've got to be in the Mountain West. They have to. Or the American. Like those are the only 2 places.
The American, the Patriot League, or the Mountain West. There's no other conferences that can take them. Conference USA would probably take them.
Yeah, Conference. Well, how many teams is Conference USA at right now? Let me take a look. 2, 4, 3, 10. They're
Dude,
only
I
at
tried
11
reading their
teams.
Wikipedia page the other day. It's like fucking.
Oh God.
Oh my God! It's like reading a guy with schizophrenia's diary. It's like
there are United States presidents that have shorter Wikipedia articles than the Conference USA membership section.
I want
Conference
to
USA
see
is a
how
land
many
of contracts.
total teams they've ever had.
Well, you got to limit it. All right, don't be careful of associate members.
Former affiliate members.
Florida is a Big East affiliate member, so like be careful.
Yeah.
Women's
Okay.
lacrosse.
So we got to stay away from there. So former members: UCF, Cincinnati, DePaul, East Carolina, Houston, Louisville, Marquette, Marshall, Memphis, Old Dominion, St. Louis, USF, Southern Methodist, SMU, Southern Miss, TCU, Tulane, and Tulsa. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The saddest thing is I would have named all of them because I'm a sicko. Did you say
17
Rice?
teams have left that conference. They currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams in the conference. I believe, what is it? 6 of those teams are leaving. So we'll now have 23 teams that would have left. And then who's coming in again? So I think it's...
Is Kennesaw State joining them or the A-Sun? These are the existential questions you think about rather than talking to your family around Christmas.
I think it's Kennesaw State's coming in.
Bang! Is Incarnate Word coming in?
I do not believe so.
No, it's a
Presbo, you mean? Presbo would make sense for them. So Kennesaw State, 4 new members. This included Liberty and Jacksonville State.
Right. Yeah, I
New
knew
Mexico
about
State and Sam Houston.
Is New Mexico State joining for all sports?
I believe so.
Good for them. They finally got a home for football. And
so Liberty Jacksonville. So that's going to bring us up to. So that's going to bring us up. So we had 17 that left, plus another. What is it again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams are going. So that gets us up to 23 teams that have left total. Right, 23 teams that have departed. Plus, we'll be adding in another 5, just 27, to go to the current membership that they have of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 schools, which 32 teams have called Conference USA home in the last 20 years.
It's been a major conference, a mid-major, nearly a low major, and might be a major conference again. It's pretty nuts.
That's wild.
We hadn't even, hot balls in all our discussions, we hadn't considered the possibility of what if Memphis ends up in Conference USA again, just as a comedic possibility.
Well, like I said, there's nothing you can do to leave Conference USA, and we were talking about this in the past. Like, it's just incredible how Houston and like Memphis and Tulane, like all of these teams, man, just Marshall, like they just always find a way back to each other every year. Just never, every Tulsa, like it just never fails. And I think ultimately they may all end up back together again too.
That's kind of what I hope happens for the Missouri Valley, because the Valley has a history of that as well. They've started to churn through the last few years quite a few teams, and every ad I think has been fine, but they've kind of hit the bottom now. Like they need Murray State to work out, and that's such a special tournament every year in St. Louis. It's one of the three best conference tournaments in the country. It's not even fucking close. Arch Madness is a really special thing to the folks out there in St. Louis, and imagine the Big East tournament. I mean, we'll make the joke when UConn left, but like, imagine if the Big East tournament just lost the biggest team every other year, just left the league. That's basically what's happened in the Missouri Valley Conference for about 10 years. And they've done a really impressive job of like holding it together. But I don't know, like UIC is the backfill for Loyola. That's tough, man. That is Loyola light. That is the Milwaukee's best of Loyola. Like that is a big ask for them to try and step up as a program, because UIC, like I remember,
not good.
I remember them. You know why? They were, when they were good, 04. So naturally, I'm gonna remember their one tournament run under Jimmy Collins in 04.
Yep.
When they got crushed by Kansas in the first round, because I was keeping an eye on. That was one of the years where Kansas was a 4 seed, and it was in that odd to look back on that sequence of years where under Bill Self in the early years at Kansas, they would always get fucking bounced in the first round. It felt like by a Missouri Valley team, but they got through UIC. They got through UIC that year.
It's an amazing conference though, with some wild history. Obviously, Creighton's left there twice, two separate occasions. University of Nebraska also has left there on two separate occasions. Obviously, losing Wichita State, Loyola, Creighton the last 3 years, last however many years, hasn't been helpful. But Tulsa was in that league. Trying to think who else was in there not so long ago. Louisville was a Missouri Conference member way back in the day, in the 70s. And I believe, Jesus Christ, talk about teams that can never get away from each other. I'm looking at it now. Houston, Cincinnati, Memphis State, Louisville.
They
all left with each other to go form the fucking Metro Atlantic Conference, the Metro Athletic Conference. Butler was in the Missouri Valley Conference. Kansas was in there years ago. Okay, Oklahoma, Iowa.
The Butler one is fun. Can you check? I believe they were in it for 1 year.
Butler was there for 2 years.
They were in the A10 for 1 year also.
Yeah, Butler was there from 32 to 34.
Yeah, that was the one I forgot. So Butler did they moved after the back-to-back title games. They went Horizon to the A10, and then the Big East tournament, they immediately took them out.
Iowa was the first conference realignment person. 1908, they left the Missouri Valley Conference. It was TV dollars, too seductive back then.
Was that before Chicago? Yeah, that would have been way before Chicago left the Big Ten. Yeah. So we know who to blame. Fucking Iowa. No wonder Fran McCaffrey's so fucking pissed off.
What a sordid history, man.
I just pulled it up because you mentioned him, man. Like, this is a huge year for Wichita State and Greg Brown, or Isaac Brown, rather. Like, it's his third year there. They made the tournament in his first year there. It's kind of a weird team, the Al-Tariq Gilbert team. They weren't very good last year. This is going into their 6th year in a league that isn't nearly what they thought it was going to be. I'm keeping an eye on Wichita State in terms of what they try and do here. I think they may yet go back to the Missouri Valley. It would not surprise me.
I wouldn't be surprised if they try to weasel their way in the Atlantic 10.
Or that. Yeah, that would work. It would not shock me. Oh, that's awful. If Wichita State gets for who though?
Sage versus Wichita State. Sage versus the Shockers. That's what I want.
Well, because they're at 15, that's going to be the first basketball 16-team league that isn't the SEC. The fucking Atlantic 10. The Atlantic 10 needs a 16 team like I need another hole in my head.
Yeah, well, guess what, buddy? they have to do it. Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I just think I don't know how it's even possible for leagues like the Missouri Valley, the American Athletic Conference, and Conference USA to keep trudging along like they're actual independent entities. It can't last any longer. Like,
I don't know why by the way, update because it kind of pertains to Wednesday night. Fordham without Cal Neptune now 12-1. Projected still to go 8-10 in the A10 on Ken Palm, but it is kind of funny that Fordham.
this could be the year, baby.
They needed OT to beat VMI, but it would be wild if Fordham made the tournament.
Let's get Mike in here.
Fordham, which has one of the great social media avatars, by the way. Hopballs, did you see this the other night? I retweeted. Somebody had it. It was funny. Fordham's avatar on Twitter, men's basketball, is must see. You got to go look it up. It's great.
Oh no!
Go pull up the Fordham men's basketball account and just look at what their photo is.
What do we got here? Fordham basketball. Shut up.
It's perfect.
He's still on there?
F basketball. I didn't even mean that. I just liked that it was F basketball.
Yeah.
which has been the philosophy for Fordham basketball since 1975, basically. Big old F basketball. That's Fordham. But I do kind of want to go down to Rose Hill and see if I want them to keep being good, not just for the fun of laughing at Nova, but like I'd like to go check a game out there this year. They've never been any good. Maybe they're good this year.
We had Mike in here and he just disappeared. We had Mike in here. He just disappeared. Mike, if you want to come back on,
Ghost Mike.
No, not Mike. Not Ghost Mike. He's floating in a pool of milk currently, recharging the batteries for Wednesday.
Kind of like the Matrix when they're in the pods. I get it. That makes
sense. No, they hook him in there. His mom probably like drags out a big cable and like hooks it in there. Just regenerates. All you can see is his nose. Crazy. All right, we got our buddy here, Yuli, as requested. This is Encino Man. This is the guy from Butler.
The one and only?
Yeah, I hope you're ready for this. I've been keeping him on ice here for a little bit because want to get him all fired up by the time. Hopefully he doesn't hit us with his club. Hang on, I got to bring him in here. Encino Man, what do you got for us?
It's about time, man. Well, first of all, I'm sad that the Colts have to represent Butler like that. They're just an embarrassment, and I can't deal with that. I grew up a Patriots fan. I'm from Boston, and having to go to the Colts is so demoralizing. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, Julie.
You just get weirder and weirder. So you're from Boston?
Yeah, yes. I was born in Brookline and Mass.
Is your father Brad Stevens?
What?
Is your father Brad Stevens?
No. Unfortunately, no. But I did go to high school with Jeff Adrian, or he went to the same high school as me.
Nice.
Love Jeff Adrian. He won a lot for our school. But I think when you talked about the Big Ten and SEC, you forgot LSU and Penn State. I think those are some sleeper teams. Jalen Pickett might be the best guard in that league.
Pickett's a great call. Penn State is going to be a team the better in me is going to be focused on a lot because that dude is going to be the best player on the floor in most games they play. And there's going to be a couple nights where I think he goes Jalen Brunson, or not Jalen Brunson style, where he goes Cam Whitmore style and just takes over. And it's great for Penn State that they have him. And he might drag them into the tournament. Yeah, that kid is a fucking dude and a half. LSU, Hopballs, I'll defer to you on our old friends of the NCAA. I don't know if you've watched them.
I'm not in on them yet. I mean, they played two teams in the top 100. 2-point win over Wake Forest on a neutral floor, and then they lost to Kansas State. Both of them very close games. But the highest ranked team they played outside of that, 123rd ranked Akron. And then they played UMKC, Arkansas State, New Orleans, Illinois State, UT Arlington, North Carolina Central, Winthrop, and East Tennessee State. Those are all sub 200 Ken Palm teams. I'm not there yet. We're going to find out soon, though.
I'm
Matt
happy
Maybe
McMahon.
Kansas State.
Arkansas on Wednesday.
I'm happy Kansas State's winning because Butler's win against them looks a lot better now.
Yeah, how did Keontae Johnson look when you played him? I'm rooting like hell for that dude.
Oh, he's very good. He will score. He will score. He will just spread the ball around. He can lead that team a long way.
Yeah. Matt, by the way, LSU, first season for Matt McMahon. That's a dude who didn't just take Murray State to 3 tournaments in the last 5 years. Well, 3 of the last 4 tournaments, but won a game in 2 of them. So that dude is a serious up-and-comer in the coaching circles. I don't like LSU this year that much, but I do think he has the potential with the slush funds and the NIL. They're 2 different things in Louisiana, don't forget, to really get them going and start, going at it with Arkansas and Alabama in terms of the next few years in the SEC. But I'm totally with you on the Penn State side of it.
Yeah, I really like playing against them the second game. Like Pickett was just unstoppable. He just hits threes like that. That's a good 3-point shooting team too.
Yeah, they're really the Penn State's problem is they're small. They just have no size whatsoever. It's insane. If they had
they crush on the offensive boards too. Like they're 359th in the country on offensive rebounding percentage. That actually may be dead last.
Yulie, I'm glad for you this isn't the case, but if Manny Bates played on Penn State, that's a top 25 team.
Oh yeah, if they had a decent Big East big man on their team, they'd be a top 25 team.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. That's the one thing that concerns me for them in terms of the way the Big Ten is. The rough and tumble nature of it does not really lend itself to a team that is as tall as like a 5th grader on broadly. But Pickett is really, really good, and he's a dude. If he's gonna have to go in the lane and get the shippy out of him, though. Like he can't shoot from 3. That's his problem. He's not a 3-point shooter, and he's just gotta have to resign to it.
UConn got a couple of big men they can send over to Penn State.
Yeah, we could. We're not going to, but yes, that it does feel like an embarrassment of riches on our end. That's a stat. Now is Hot Balls. Remind me, is Kevin Freeman an assistant there still?
I believe so. Let me check. Head over right now.
Some UConn ties on the Penn State staff.
Well, that's why. That's why. Clearly.
Yeah, he'll be the first guy to tell you don't need anybody over 6'5" anyway to get rebounds. I'm told by Penfield he is not. So no longer having the UConn influence there. But yeah, that's a team we're worth keeping an eye on. So Yulie, what are your thoughts on your guys in terms of Butler? I'm sorry, I feel like I've just come through the Soyuz capsule here. We're shaking hands. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say to an actual Butler fan.
I think the Providence game will be really telling of how we're going to look the rest of the season. If we can play well, beat them, because I think us and them are in the same place now. We're just trying to find our place in the Big East and hoping to get that last bid, and that'd be really nice if Butler got it. But I think if we can match with them, go point for point, not let them go on a 10-0 run and then give up in the second half, that'd be nice. But Bryce Hopkins is hard to stop, and I just think that if Ali and Jalen Thomas can just find their way, it's been 2 games since they've come back, and if our team can look like a complete team, then I think we'll be able to win a couple upset games, maybe sneak a win against Xavier, Marquette, maybe even Creighton at home or Villanova, and I think Butler can manage to get a good seed in the Big East tournament, hopefully make the semifinals.
Now, Yulie, I don't know how close you followed the coaching search. I know he has a lot of history, recently with the athletic department. Were you shocked, though, that Thad Matta is your coach?
Yeah, I was. There was another name that came up. I forget who, because it was. The coaching search. It took such a short time that we weren't involved. At least the students weren't involved that much in participating and who they thought would be a good coach. But when he came, I looked at his resume, and he had a pretty good resume. I mean, he was fourth in win percentage among active coaches. So that was very helpful to see, and it just helped a lot to see that he knew how to win. So once he came back and seeing, like, they had a ceremony for him and seeing everyone who showed up, it seemed like he was a good fit for the job.
No, he's an incredible coach. It's just, and you'd want this anyway. It's his health. As long as he's healthy, he will be a really, really, really good coach for Butler.
Yeah, he walks around with something on his leg, and like that's only like thing. That's only health thing that is a problem. But he's doing a good job. He definitely resonates with the players a lot. They seem to have a good respect for him, which is important.
Are you surprised? Now, from following him this year, I knew it going into the UConn game because they had done it in the I want to say West Virginia game. I was kind of surprised by his frankness. I think it's the sort of thing he can do when I wasn't West Virginia. I think he had sold it out for another game. So Butler just doesn't try on offensive rebounding basically now.
I know the rebounding is very bad. They're up there with Penn State for one of the worst rebounding teams. I mean,
right, but I think for Butler it's like a strategy. Right? And we've seen teams do this where they're like, he's so concerned about transition, he just doesn't want the guys to. He wants everyone back.
Yeah, they're up
on
the court in
defense.
2 seconds, but once it gets to offensive rebounding, it's non-existent. Like, Manny Bates can't be the only one trying to get rebounds. You got to see at least Seamus and Chuck go up for it. I mean, if Butler wants to go big and have him, Jalen Thomas, and Ali on the court and do it, then maybe we'll get some rebounds. But right now, it's just you shoot. If it doesn't go in, they get the rebound and you get back.
Now,
It's not
Yuli,
working out.
I made the joke about being like in a spaceship, but you effectively landed on the moon. What was it like watching your team play Cal? Because you get the experience of watching them play Cal and DePaul and Georgetown this year. You are going to be an authority.
Oh,
Unfortunately, like
seeing them play
15% of
Cal.
your schedule.
No, seeing them play Cal was just amazing. I mean, Cal was just so bad, and Butler just shot lights out. It was just incredible. It was almost as good as that Citadel game. Cal is just so bad, but they were missing some people. But it gave me hope that Butler can get in a rhythm and start beating teams.
Yeah, a really depressing way to look at your schedule is something like 15% of it will be against Cal, DePaul, or Georgetown. But, you take the wins where you can get them. And I think you guys are I think Butler's a mid-tier Big East team, solid. And I think taking a look at your closing schedule, because it's so big how you go into the Big East tournament.
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty negotiable. I mean, the last day is hard at Xavier, but
yeah, I mean, if we
DePaul,
can get some home wins like Xavier, Marquette, Creighton, and Villanova, then I'll be happy, because every year we get a win against a solid team at home. Like last year we beat Creighton, the year before we beat Villanova. If we can get a couple more of those wins, I think we'll be in a good place.
Yeah, and you don't want to be the person that lands on Georgetown roulette. That's also the key.
Oh no,
Don't
losing
need
to
that.
DePaul and Georgetown's not that. I mean, we have a lot of opportunity if we're one of the, like, where we stand right now. If we can beat some of the top 4 or top 5 teams, at least split with them or go 2-0, that'd be really nice.
So what's the vibe like on campus? People getting into it? I mean, I imagine it was tough last year.
We're into it. Everyone shows up. It's a late arriving crowd, but it gets packed. The fans are behind this team. I mean,
I was
obviously
fortunate to see Hinkle Fieldhouse about, God, it was like 8 years ago at this point in the summer, and it was pre-renovation, but it's a special place. Is the thing, Yuli, you bank it on those afternoon Saturday games with the freaking weird sunlight? Is that the move?
Nah, we like those 6:30 games. We actually, the day we get back from break, or the week we get back, we got a Friday night game home versus Villanova, and I can guarantee you it'll be packed for that.
See, hot balls. Friggin' Butler's getting the sweet time slots. What the hell did we do?
I know.
It's probably us, literally shit posting.
Yeah, nobody wants to listen to us. It's probably our fault. No, I don't know, man. I don't know what's up with this conference TV scheduling.
Yeah, the TV scheduling stinks.
Not good. Not exciting.
You get Val on the phone. You guys are plugged in like that.
Yeah, I'll
First
call
name
Val
basis.
up. I'll call her up. I'll text her tomorrow and be like, "What the fuck? WTF?" That's what I'm gonna say.
Actually, you
Like, what?
probably are in some fucking bizarro college baseball circle that she somehow ends up in. So,
Unfortunately for her, probably. By the way, guys, got a couple questions in my tweets here. Keep firing those in there. We can use this. You don't always have to hop on here, and it can give us some content as well. So I do appreciate that. So if you guys just have like one-off questions and want to throw it in there, go ahead and do that. We do have one, and I actually kind of like this one here. HurleyMania. Which upcoming game presents the biggest challenge? Versus Nova, on the road in Xavier, against Creighton, or on the road in Marquette?
I think it's got to be the game at Xavier. It's especially because even if we're hopeful, like if UConn takes care of business Wednesday, I mean the all-time, you know, as high as over your skis as you can get there, going into a building that's just desperate for the landmark win to mark Sean Miller's return, and they're really good. That we've said that crowd's going to be the drunkest place on earth. I think it's the Xavier game. I also think Xavier right now is probably the second best team in the league as of today. So yeah, I'm going to go with the game at Xavier. After that, it would be the game at. I mean, it's always the road games for me. The game at Marquette, man. When Marquette gets it working with the press, they're white hot, and they can also. It's hard for them to sustain it though. So I would go at Marquette or at Xavier as the toughest, followed by at Marquette.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with both of the road games too. I hate road games in this stupid league. Um,
Hot ball six, we should only have to play home games.
Yeah, it would be much better. I mean, but it is what it is. I think Xavier one's the toughest one. I'm going to agree with you on that. The Marquette one could be interesting. Yeah, I'm going to say Xavier. I think that's the toughest one. If I was looking on if I was looking at the schedule from here on out, I got 3 losses on there, and the 3 being Xavier on the road, Nova on the road, the last game of the year. And then I'm gonna say probably Creighton on the road too. I think they'll have one good one in them.
I can't pick them to win at Creighton when they haven't beaten them ever yet. Like I do think we'll beat them at home, but like I'm not going to be that crazy to say, oh yeah, we're going to sweep Creighton. Like let's see, and that's going to be. And we've talked about this again. Every team UConn's going to play from here out is going to need the game more than UConn needs it for their resume. So that's an X factor that I don't know how you quantify that, but like
there's so many teams right now in our league, and I think this is what's kind of tough. Because we were talking about the rest of the league and the gobbledygook that it kind of is right now. I just think there's a lot of teams that are just, and I know you could say this, coaches would say this about every team. They're so not finished products right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sold that Creighton. Like, I think we're the best team in the league. I think we've gotten off to the best start. I think we have the depth. I absolutely think we're the most athletic team in the conference. The coaching's there, and we're going to continue to get better. I think we are the best team in the conference. I think it's very safe to say that, DePaul, Georgetown are the 3 worst. But there's just a lot of teams. Like, I think Providence may figure it out a little bit. Like, Devin Carter's a really, really raw athlete. He's kind of, a lot of ways reminds me of a poor man's Andre Jackson. Really, really good defender. Kind of gives you what he gives you offensively at this point, but like starting to show some signs of life, right? Like had some pretty good games. Bryce Hopkins, clearly, dude, he's going to be a problem. no matter what you deal with. But like Providence is starting to figure out again where they get these fucking clowns like James Breed, who's not good, but like he can go and make a couple threes, on a well drawn up play, and like they muck it up and defend pretty well. And Cooley says it to him all the time, like, get me the last couple minutes of the game, and like I'll get you over the finish line. And that's generally kind of what Providence College basketball has been the last couple of years, right? So, I think they're a team that could get progressively better. Villanova's had so many missing pieces. Like, it's impossible to project exactly what they're going to be. Like, yeah, I think they're in trouble for the tournament. They can only take so many more losses. But, like, that team down the stretch that we see in Philadelphia could be really fucking good. Like, if Justin Moore, and I'm not counting on this, I've been the one that's really been kind of like whatever with Justin Moore, because it's going to take him 2 weeks to get used to being at game speed again, at least. So that's really only going to leave a window of like 7 weeks where he could be potentially really, really effective. We're going to get them in that window where he could potentially be really like, if Justin Moore comes back and it's Justin Moore, I'm not counting on it, but if he comes back and is that guy, along with Cam Whitmore and the rest of the guys that have, they could be fucking terrifying down the stretch. Like, they could be legit. And Creighton, we talk about them every week. Like, they shoot like shit. Are they kind of what they've been historically? Can they get better? Does Ryan Kalkbrenner really make that much of a difference when they're spacing the floor? I think they've been exposed as having some depth issues here and there. I don't think they're what people thought they were going to be in the preseason, but I think people are really prematurely throwing the baby out with the bathwater on them. So again, I don't know what they really are. Butler hasn't been full strength most of the year. Ali is he was a huge transfer for them. So like, you put him and Manny Bates down there, they start to match up with some teams pretty well, because they can throw some rim protection out there that others don't have, right? And it's Stad Mata. Like, they could conceivably be a better team. The only teams that, like, I'm kind of looking at right now, outside of the bottom feeders, that I'm like, yeah, I think this is what they're going to be, is going to be Xavier and Marquette. I think Xavier, this group of players, they've been this for 3 years. They're better coached now. They run better offensive shit, so they score more points. But like, they've always been a pretty good offensive team, minus the mind-numbing turnovers, which they still have tons of. It's not as bad, and they're converting those extra chances into points. And they fucking drain threes like crazy, but they're absolute traffic cones on defense. And I don't think there's fixing them. I don't think you could roll Dan Hurley into Xavier basketball this year and fix them defensively. I just think they are what they are. And Marquette, I'm not, I like them. I like Shaka a lot, but I'm kind of with you. I want to see them have a few go rounds, because I feel like there's going to be a scout on them, and they're kind of going to be a little bit of an illusion again. So I don't know. We'll see. Like, I think they're good enough to get to the tournament. I don't think they're an illusion in that sense, but being like a real top 2 or 3 team in the conference, I'm not there on them. I think they're more like 5th, 6th. So that's the thing, man. Like, there's just so many question marks with everybody else in the conference right now. I mean, Seton Hall defends respectably well, but like, all depends on whether Kadiri Richmond gives a shit on a given day. And I mean, they can't do anything else offensively. I mean, they're bad. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's going to be one of those years where it's just kind of hard to say, what's going to be what by the time we get to it. But I feel pretty confident saying this. We're the team nobody wants to play right now. Pretty unanimously. Yeah. So that's where I kind of will just take what it is and say, okay, I'm happy with that for now. And let's see what everybody looks like, because I think there's some teams that could get us later on in the season when they're a little bit more refined and have an idea of what they're doing and might be. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say, there's a lot of teams that are in this conference that could potentially beat us at a point in the season, and they're going to be and could potentially be by the end of the year much, much better teams than their record indicates. So that's kind of where I'm at with the rest of the league right now.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I'll save you some time. Did you have other questions in the queue, or
let's see what we got here? We got anybody got an update on Samson Johnson? Last I heard, he was pretty healthy. They were flirting with the idea of running him out there against Villanova. Whether they do or not, we'll see. I think it'll have to be one of those situations where we're, up 12 with maybe a couple minutes to go. Maybe Sanogo or Donovan are a little foul trouble and they need to get a little extra run from somebody. But
can you imagine unleashing him for the first time, more or less, against Providence, though?
Yes.
That would be fun.
I think what they're going to want to do with Providence is going to be absolutely to run them out of the gym. Just get Bryce Hopkins away from the rim and just make him run up and down the court until he's fucking exhausted. And then start to look half court. Because their only shot, I mean, I don't think they have a shot against us this year unless we play like shit. But, it's going to have to be Bryce Hopkins going off and getting him up and down. Like Crosswell's got some length to him, but he's about as athletic as a fucking tire iron. So I just don't know. I think we're going to try to get up and down with those guys and get them tired. And the guy to throw out there in that scenario, I don't think it's going to be Donovan. I think when they want to get out and run, it's going to be Sampson. And we talked about this at the beginning of the year, right? Like they're going to look at the team and the scouting report. And all right, if we want to play in the half court, we'll play in the half court with Donovan. We want to get out and run. We're going to go to the rim runner. We're going to go with Sampson. So that's what's kind of crazy about that. Like he is something else in transition as a big. So I hope people are ready to hold on to their butts. Like Sampson's really fucking good, guys. Like I'm telling you, he's still a little raw, but he's scary out in transition. I mean, we saw that one during the one clip they teased us with there. I think it was in the preseason scrimmage where he covered an entire half of the court in 3 steps. He's pretty wild to watch get up and down the court. So we're going to see it. But I would kind of agree with you. I think we'll probably see him most likely Providence, I would say, would be the right game to get him some burn.
Do you what do you think Corey Floyd's involvement in that game?
About negative 500 minutes.
Well, no, if UConn runs out to a big lead, he's going to be right there reminded Cooley, hey, coach, just letting you know. I'm available to soak through 15 3-point shots. He's actually been a good 3-point shooter this year, but
he's going to be fine for them. But he's the fucking freshman, man, and he's not huge. We're in the Big East, and everybody's huge, so he's not going to play a ton this year. I don't think he would have played a ton for us either. I don't think it was a playing time issue for him. I think it was a comfort thing. Well, I think it's size and then playing style, but I also just don't think he was a stores guy, which I get.
No, that's fair enough.
Not everybody comes in as a stores guy, so it is what it is. We've had Nathan in the queue here for a little while, man. If you want to come off mute and give us your stuff, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, man. First of all, I just want to say thanks for the spaces and everything. I know I'm the millionth person to say that, but I grew up in Wisconsin and Minnesota, and so naturally I was a hockey guy for my entire life, and so I've actually, among all the shit talking, which I do appreciate, I've learned actually quite a lot about the sport of basketball, and I ended up out at UConn in grad school in 2014 and miraculously won the season ticket lottery with one entry as a grad student. And of course, the rest is history on that. It was just a phenomenal time to be out there. And so I kind of had a story, a request, and an offer in that order. The story being, after I left UConn, I came back to Minnesota here in St. Paul, and I have only seen one UConn fan in the entire state of Minnesota since I've been here, like a local. And I was out for a run one day about 5 years ago, and a maniac is driving down the road, like honking at me. And I realize I'm wearing a UConn shirt, and I look down, and sure enough, there's a Connecticut license plate. And since then, I have been searching for that person to perhaps watch a basketball game with. And so I'm wondering if there are any fellow Minnesota UConn fans. Please come out of the woodwork. I would love to have a friend to watch a basketball game with here because my wife is getting very much tired of hearing about the UConn Huskies men's basketball team.
Have you met Paige Beckers?
She's
We've
pretty
got
big UConn
Minnesota
fan.
now.
I know it's pretty fantastic to like see the pipeline of Minnesota basketball in various sports, but especially the UConn. It's pretty cool, and people go bananas for her here. Everybody is like super proud at the local level, and of course it's they desperately wish she would have played for the Gophers, but it was not to be. But yeah, so if there's anybody in the extended network out there that knows fellow UConn fans in the Twin Cities, I have searched high and low and cannot find that honking maniac that I ran into that one day. The last thing I'll say here, as an offer, and I think HurleyMania may know the answer to this, but do you know where the Frozen Four is being played this year?
Yeah, it's in Tampa, I believe, this year.
The Frozen Four is in St. Paul, Minnesota at the XL Energy Center.
Oh, okay. This year
So,
is XL. All right.
Yeah. I live 1.5 miles down Old West 7th Street from the XL Energy Center in St. Paul. So my offer is, should UConn make it to the Frozen Four, I am willing to organize any get-together event and provide any local guidance to anybody that wants to go further into that traveling to see their UConn Huskies.
Tour guide out in the wilderness.
That's right, exactly. I'm in the Middle West, and I have forged my way, and I know all of the amazing watering holes and all of the beer is cheap. I promise you that.
Yeah, we had Encino Man out here from Butler. It's like we're out in the crazy continent, and you're out there being our guide, hacking and whacking at the bush with the machete.
And here's
helping
the
us
odd twist
unearth
to
all sorts of new ancient civilizations we never knew existed.
The weirdest twist of all of this: I married into a Butler family. I shit you not.
So
My wife
all
is
the
from
Butler people are
Indianapolis.
coming up. That's a weird thing to marry. I married into a Creighton family, which is really weird. but a Butler one, I've never heard of that one before.
My take on Butler, because a couple of the family worked there, a couple have gone there, and Yuli can definitely correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Butler students and fans seem to be very interested, just very normal and not maniacal in a social sense, but like very, very into the basketball, but just kind of just enjoy it. Am I off on that, Yuli?
Oh, I think he's out of here. He pieced out. He was in here. He saw a raccoon running, so I had to go kill his food. We go bash it on the head with something.
We got a thumbs up from Yuli.
Okay, good. I'm not. Yeah,
he's coming back.
Super normal and love the basketball.
Just
but
stop working for a second.
not
But no, you're
fans.
right. You're right about that.
Anyways, that's all I got. I figured I'd get us off topic for a while. Thanks for entertaining me.
Nathan, I actually have bad news. It's not in St. Paul this year.
What? Did I fuck that
Nathan,
up?
Nathan, you're absolutely right about Butler, by the way.
I mean, Nathan, I know the Gopher fans think they need to know where the Frozen Four is, but they never actually do. No, it's not. It's not in St. Paul this year, though.
Man, I thought I was looking at tickets. Well, as an aside, I went to the great best drinking school in the state, St. Cloud State University.
That's right. Go Huskies.
Exactly. I was a Husky then, and I'm a Husky now.
Love St. Cloud. It's a big St. Cloud, big Northern Michigan guy, occasionally Northeastern. We got 4 Huskies in D1. So,
well, it'll be back in St. Paul eventually. So whenever the fuck it's back here, I'm your guide.
Nice. Thank you, Nathan. I will take you up.
St. Cloud State, the property of American International College Hockey.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the home of many banners, right?
Zapped them a couple years ago. Big upset.
Yeah.
The Yellow Jackets. Well, Nathan, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you coming on and providing the hospitality.
Anytime, man.
All right, be good, man. All right, Dylan wants to come in here.
Hi.
Dylan, go for it.
Yeah.
Man.
Hello to the panel. I've just got a question on sort of the future of the program in the scenario that we don't achieve any postseason or tournament success following what's been so far a historic regular season, because I know there have been issues in the postseason in the past with Hurley, who hasn't won a tournament game yet with UConn. So I'm wondering if you might think he'd be in the hot seat if we didn't experience that kind of success this year.
No.
I mean, he's had plenty. He's had tournament success before coming here. We're in year 5 of a rebuild now. So, it's been 2 tournaments. We have the number 3 recruiting class in the country coming in. I think they're going to give him another year to figure it out. I would be extraordinarily surprised if we lost a 116 or a 215 game in the NCAA tournament this year. I mean, obviously, I don't get the second week. I mean, I guess for me, I don't know, HurleyMania, where you're on this. I mean, heading into the season, I was kind of thinking in my head, yeah, this might be a plateau year where we're kind of a different team, but similar-ish in terms of the pecking order as to what we were last year. And year 5s and extended rebuilds like this usually kind of tend to go that way. And Hurley teams have done that in the past in year 5. Like year 5 is kind of infamous as a plateau year. Has not been the case. Would have been thrilled with a second weekend result for us heading into the season. I think second weekend is probably for most people right now the minimum expectation. I think everybody wants to see him get this. This is definitely a second weekend team. This is a national title contender, a really good team. They don't go to the Final Four. Yeah, man, it's UConn. I mean, people are going to be fucking pissed. But no, I don't think he's in any kind of hot seat right now. I think he's done an excellent job, and to get them to this point, at year 5 being the number 1 team in the country, ostensibly being the number 1, number 2 team in the country, is wild. I mean, we've been talking a lot about this Villanova game coming up, and it's just crazy to think that 4 or 5 years ago, man, we were getting boat raced by them, 30, 35 point blowout. They seemed so far off in a different stratosphere from where we are. And we're walking into Wednesday as 14-point favorites. That blows my mind. So I think everybody's pretty satisfied with him as of right now. I think he's done a really good job. Recruiting might be as good as it's ever been here. I mean, when was the last time we had a top 5 recruiting class? I can't remember.
Well, 2016.
Were we? No, I don't know. They were 8th or 9th, weren't they? It was top 10. The Tariq Gilbert, Vance Jackson, Mamadou Diarra year.
Yeah, the reason that was up there too, it was more of a volume thing. It was a bunch of very good guys, whereas this is elite level. It's been fun. I almost brought this up earlier. I'm glad we got to lean into it. I'm enjoying the great market correction of all the class evaluations of the UConn guys. It seems to be going on now, where Stewart and Solo Ball are getting the stuff on, and now everyone's like, "Oh, Stephon Castle actually might be a top 5 guy in the class." It's like, yeah, no shit. we were. That was pretty obvious before.
Well,
looking at all the Kentucky guys.
Who's fucking terrifying?
Who's that?
Yusuf Singari.
I'm
not even kidding. I watched him. I've watched him 3 times. He's terrifying. Terrifying. He is an absolute vacuum cleaner on the boards. He's one of the best young rebounders I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not even joking. Defensively, this guy is an absolute wall.
He's your next Samson Johnson. I can already see this happening.
No, I don't know if he's the next Samson. Well, yeah, he interacts with me a lot on Twitter.
There you
I'm
go.
not joking, guys. He might be. I mean, I don't know. We're gonna see. I think Solo's a little bit more refined, and same thing, obviously, Stefan's a freak. But Sangare might either be the next best. He may be better than one or two of them. Like, this guy's fucking ridiculous. He's playing in that overtime elite shit. Well, the pro guys, and absolutely
with Kevin Ollie.
Yeah, absolutely fucking wiping. I mean, this is NBA guys that are fucking around in there, man. Like, mopping the floor with them. So, like, I don't know. He's not just like a little bit better than I thought he was. He's like, I think Sangare could be like a top 40, 35-ish guy coming in.
I'm very on board for the idea that the last guy they get through when nobody's looking being the dude. We've seen it in the transfer portal. Maybe it'll be with Sangare. Who knows?
Like, defensively, he's a fucking absolute wrecking ball. Got a little ways to go offensively. But defensively, he's ready to go right on the off. I'd let him mix it up with anybody. Like,
Yeah.
and guys that play like that young guys that play like that will get run with Dan. Like, he'll get plenty of minutes next year. So yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I just think it would be really insane to, now that we're starting to recruit at this high of a level, to pull the plug on it. If he goes, let's say there is a tournament flame out and they get sparked in first round, second round, and they come out and do it again next year. Yeah, man. I mean, you only have one tournament win 6-7 years at UConn. That's not helping. It doesn't really matter who you're recruiting, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the result that people want to see. But I just don't think we're even close to that point. I'm so unconcerned with that this year. Like, I mean, I've seen crazier shit happen, right? Fucking UMBC knocked fucking Virginia out. So that happened before.
And they responded well from it. But yeah, I'm not worried about it for the reasons you laid out. Plus, also, it's the easiest spin ever. If they get knocked out in the second round, you can say, well, it's the farthest he's taken UConn, which I know that's not an appetizing spin, but they can say that statement and it will be true. So, I'm hoping for a lot more than that. But, the flameouts also provide in a way, the cover for if they lose in the Sweet 16, like, it'll be disappointing, but also you'll just have to remind yourself that what would you have said about that in August, So, but I'm not trying to think that way. I mean, if you can't dream on this team, you're probably even too much of a pessimist for me. Like, I'm really not worried.
You're not an
about
optimistic guy. Let's just put it that way.
No, exactly.
Not exactly an optimist, but yeah, I mean, it's weird, man, because it's the one thing that really kind of sucks about college basketball is the NCAA tournament effect, right? Like, you go and get on a little bit of a hot streak and you're a fucking dumpster fire team, and then everybody's sucking your dick for the next 9 months. I mean, look at UNC, look at UCLA last year. Like, those were not good teams, guys. Like, bad regular seasons. Got a little hot at the right time, went on a little bit of a run. Everybody lost their minds about it, right? But, like, you can't, like with North Carolina, you can't erase the last 2 years. Like, they've been clunky. They're not consistent. Like, a lot of the same fucking problems pop up year after year. And it's been the same set and group of players with the same coach. There's even some of those problems poking up, in Roy's last year there. But you go on one Final Four run, you knock out fucking Coach K in the Final Four. I guess all's forgiven for the last 3 years. And now they're right back to being normal again. And everybody's like, oh, all right.
By the way, I'm glad you brought this up. How happy are you that they got ranked again?
I know, dude, it's preposterous, but
it's beat Ohio State.
But it's that tournament effect, though, right? So, like, they get it. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They're gonna win one game, and everybody, like, Jeff Goodman's gonna be ready to pull his pants down in 5 seconds, right? And, like, so they have that effect, and it's all because of one stupid fucking tournament run, right? Meanwhile, you'll get certain teams that, like, Are they the guy? Are they the guy? Is this the guy? Can he really do it? Like if you don't win enough NCAA tournament games. And the NCAA tournament, by and large, for 99% of the developed college basketball world is, I mean, it's preposterous. You have to win fucking 6 games, maybe 7 to win a national title without losing against the best competition in the country.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason that's what most people look to is because that's what means the most to fans. And I feel like just because of like recency bias and recency effect, if we come to the end of this season being a top 4 team in the country, a 1 seed, and get out in the first 2 rounds, what like that affects the perception of the team for until the next season starts, as you said. So what do you think is the biggest part of a change in the fundamental structure of the roster that would keep us from an early round loss like we had last year and the year before?
I mean, I just think all the way around, fundamentally, this is just a better team. I mean, we have shooters. We had 2 guys that could score the basketball consistently last year. We had RJ Cole and Sonogo. Our offense was completely one-dimensional. People knew what we were doing. They knew what we were doing at the end of games. You know, there's games where, you know, Tyrese Martin, obviously good player, but like wasn't as consistent offensively. I mean, you know, we're talking about Butler. I mean, the Butler game last year, that's one of the most bipolar basketball games I've ever seen a player have by halves. Like Tyrese was a liability in the first half, like absolutely terrible shot. You know, was making terrible decisions, turning the ball over, playing asshole defense, and then comes out the second half and torches them. Right. But like, again, just not that consistent guy. Like Isaiah Whaley, incredible, you know, defender, you know, one of my favorite UConn players of all time. But like, there's a ceiling on how much offensive contribution he can give you. Right. Like we have 7 or 8 guys that can pretty consistently score the basketball. And even when they can't, we have such an abundance of them that like somebody just figures it out. I mean, we talk about it every night on Spaces. Like just every game, there's some fucking asshole goes off and throws 65 balls off the backboard and can't score to save his life. And then another fucking asshole is like, don't worry about it. I'm going to go dump in 12, 15 tonight. And like, there's just so much more depth on this team. And I loved last year's team. That's one of the most fun years following a basketball team I've ever had in my life. This team is so much better at literally every actual thing that a basketball team does on the floor. And particularly when it comes to, you know, the team from the year before that. I don't even really know where to start. And I really think success in the tournament begins and ends with your backcourt. And we just haven't had the guard depth the last couple of years to be able to do that. And that was really, I mean, we talked about it a lot last year. Perimeter defending, you know, the size and length of our guards, you know, and depth in the backcourt have fundamentally been the soft underbelly of this team. We could clang and bang with any team in the front court in the country. You know, when you're rolling out Sonogo and you're rolling out Whaley and you're rolling out Tyrese Martin, that's a lot of beef, you know, to be able to throw off the backboards. Last year, I think they were hoping to have more depth than they did. Gaffney never made that step forward. Just never happened here. A Cook, I don't think, you know, I just don't think he was there behind the scenes. And I think that impacted a little bit of what they wanted to do. So, like, the way and manner that Dan Hurley likes to play basketball, he hasn't really been able to do with the personnel he's had. I think some of the guys coming back from the COVID year gummed up some rotations a little bit on his end. Could he have told them to fuck off and go somewhere else for last year? Yes, that's not him and how he runs things. So they came back, you know, and so, you know, not really being able to play the way that you want to, not really having the personnel, a couple guys not really developing the way that maybe you had hoped or contributing in the way and manner that you'd hoped, and then just not having that guard depth, right? And we saw it in so many instances last year, like even RJ Cole, like trying to like defend dudes like Kadary Richmond that are fucking 3-4 inches taller than him, like 2 RJ Coles. And as good as he was offensively, like those bigger guards kind of manhandled him, you know, and a lot of the guys in the backcourt. And so I think this year we've got so much guard depth. We may not have that like dedicated point guard ball handler, and that'll be interesting when we get some like really good backcourt defenses, some guys that really ball pressure the right way sort of later on in the tournament, because we'll see them, like a Houston, a Tennessee, an Arkansas. But Alabama does it pretty fucking well, and we juice them. So, I mean, it's just I think we have the guard depth this year. We've got a different level of depth, a much wider margin for error, right? Like a lot of things needed to go right for us to win basketball games against really good teams last year. This year, it's kind of funny to watch the things that go wrong, and we're still barrel rolling teams. So, like, I don't even feel like we've played like a great basketball game with all 5 guys on the court just fucking humming, right? And we're still killing teams. So, I think that's going to be the biggest difference. The second thing, and I'll be real short about this, Hurley can run the offense he wants to run. And I mean, I think the one thing that's been fairly consistent, at least in the analysis and the overall narrative around this team, particularly from some of the more brainier guys in the national media, is how crisp our offense is, how impressive our ball movement is, but how well coached we are defensively. Our rotations are really smooth and tight. Like we're a really hard team to score on. So I think he can kind of coach to his strengths now. So I think, you start to add those things up. I mean, I feel pretty good about us making a long tournament run, and look, we're deeper too. Like I think the thing is like we run really complicated shit, but last couple of years we haven't had the personnel to make it complicated. You kind of knew what the end answer was going to be. Now you're running it, and you don't know if it's going to be a pick and pop to a Joey Calcaterra. But Naheem Aline's on the floor. Oh, Tristan Newton's on the floor. Jordan Hawkins is on the floor. Maybe they'll run it through Sonogo. Like any 5 of those guys can score the basketball, right? And so like now you don't really know what the answer to the question is. And so specifically, why do I think they're going to be better in a tournament setting? That they're a really fucking hard team to prepare for in a regular season game when you've got 5 or 6 days a week to figure it out. But like particularly in the back end, like that's why I'm not as worried about it. Like I'd be more worried about us flaming out in a first round or a Sweet 16 game. We get through that first game in a weekend, man. You got 2 days to fucking figure us out. Good luck. Plus, we've got the depth. You know what I mean? Take a few hits. So injury wise, so I think this is a completely different animal than what we've had the last 2 years in terms of what Hurley's able to do with it, the capabilities that we have defensively and offensively. Look, man, it's the tournament. Shit happens. Like, could it happen? Sure. Like it's the NCAA tournament. I mean, one bad night and everything goes wrong and it all goes right for somebody else. And yeah, man, you can get banged. It happens. We've had arguably better teams go out early in the tournament. It happens. But I'd say the chances with this team of a first round flame out are indescribably low. I would be very, very, very surprised to see an early exit.
Well, you also kind of have your answer. Like last year, they get Teddy Allen. How are they going to respond to that? Well, it's pretty good. 13-0, I think it's pretty good response to the disappointment of that flame out. I'd say mission accomplished on that side in terms of can they bounce back from that. I mean, you won't know till you get to the tournament, but I mean, it's their last loss. Is the most depressing thing for the last 5 years. It's kind of wild when you think about it. That's their last loss. So, yeah, the vibes so far so good for me, man. I'm running out of steam. I gotta be honest. I actually got to be up at like 6:45 for work, but I don't want to be the bad guy. So
You don't want to
if
be the
you've got
bad
other
guy.
folks
Yeah, I feel like you almost passively ask me for permission
to leave, which is wild. I don't need you to order me around. I just know I'm what the people are here for. I'm both the looks and the brains. It's kind of weird having both roles. And the modesty. It's wild, really. No, but yeah, live spaces Wednesday. I will be there, hot balls, and hopefully you survive to get to that point. Like I know I'll be there. I don't know, like, are we gonna have you on an oxygen tank or what?
I know. I
Like,
could be there. I could be live spacing from the emergency room. I'll just tell them and be like, "You're just gonna have to put the bottom half of my body to sleep and operate on me because I got to do spaces, guys. I'm sorry."
you just hear the background beep every 20
Yeah.
seconds.
So we're gonna
That's
have to amputate your leg, guys. I'm busy. I'm on spaces. Do whatever you got to do.
Fine, left
Yeah.
or right, pick one. Don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. I'm kind of it's gonna be so weird. By the way, dog pee pullover is still rocking.
Yeah, well,
I wore it with pajama bottoms during Christmas Day to keep the stretch up. Yeah, the streak's going, man. I'm telling you, I am going until we lose with this stupid fucking thing. So I don't know. Could be any day, but maybe God just wants to see me suffer. Maybe I'll die of some infection that I get from the dog pee pullover.
What was the thing that I tweeted at Joey? It's like, God gives you the biggest challenges because He knows you can handle it. Something like that. God knows that you can handle the odors and the scents and the misery of wearing that thing.
The dog
But
loves it. He's sitting there right on my lap right now. He's all cozied
oh,
up to
that's
it.
great.
He's like, "This is mine." He's marked his territory, so he's he's a big fan of this shit. So I'm gonna wear it, man. That's gonna keep going until we lose. Like this, my goal with this pullover, it's gonna be more famous than Lou Carnesecca's sweater. I'm gonna pass the sweater. It's going to the Hall of Fame. We
Well,
go
hopefully,
undefeated.
unlike that, it wins the game in the Final Four. How about that? Throw
Yeah.
that at St. John's.
We go all the way. If we go all the way undefeated, they have to bring me to Houston. They're gonna have to fumigate me and put me in like a fucking bubble, but I'm gonna be on the end of the bench.
There's no way you're gonna have to drive. There's no way you're being allowed on a plane in that thing.
They'll instantly put me on the terror watch list.
Just no chance. Do you have any flammable?
I'm a highly flammable object.
I was gonna say, sir, you said you had no flammable items. Would you like to explain this?
Yeah.
Just singeing
And then
on
just
the
looking at me, I'd be like, "What, myself? I am Mr. Hotballs."
I gotta admit, the evidence is kind of overwhelming in their favor there. But yeah, I will be back Wednesday. I hope you're there with me. That's my main goal.
Well, I'm gonna be there. I'm trying to see. My wife doesn't know what she wants to do. She's being all wishy-washy now, and like my wife is really in a tough place right now with this whole thing. I think I'm starting to watch her struggle. Like, because it's starting to dawn on her. Like, for a little while, it was just like roll the eyes. Yeah, this is a thing or whatever. And then, like, she's starting to see it's getting a lot of attention. And then I'm doing the dog pee pullover, and there's all this other shit happening. So, like, there's this huge curiosity. She hasn't, like, seen hot balls in action and, like, out in the wild, mask on, in the arena, out on the battlefield, leading the minions, right? She hasn't seen that. There's like this tremendous curiosity that she has about this, right? But then there's also like, I don't really want to be seen in public with this.
You can't imagine why.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I don't know,
Yeah,
but there's she's stuck. So I'm trying to feel all that out. I want to see how that goes. I want to see because eventually I think the curiosity is going to overwhelm her. Because now it's starting to. She's like, should I like have a Twitter account just to like keep an eye on you?
Yeah, we'll get our Vita Perone moment out of her. She'll be singing "Don't Cry for Me, Mrs. Hotballs" or something. That'll be beautiful. That'll be when we know the whole family is just completely black-pilled.
That's what she said. She's just trying to figure this whole thing out.
239 is your balcony. It's perfect. She can be just like Madonna.
My oldest is like, she's full on in. She's like my marketing manager over here. She's all bought in on everything. And she's like trying to be my manager over here. And then my wife is like, oh, God. So I don't know. We'll see.
Bobby Heenan YouTube videos.
What's that?
You're just showing her Bobby Heenan YouTube videos from like 1987.
Well, if that's the case, I'm going to probably have 2 extra seats for the game. She doesn't go. So I'll keep people posted. Maybe we'll do a contest.
Just don't forget, you're my ticket. So I got to.
Yeah.
My fear this whole time has been that you forget and I suddenly don't have a ticket to the game.
Good. I hope you don't. I hope you get left outside in the cold.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, guys.
Keep
that's
going.
it. I'm going to do last call here.
You can't go solo?
Huh? No, I'm going to do I'll do last call solo. You can fuck off and I'll go.
All right. Solo ball.
Yeah, solo ball for the night. I'm the new solo ball. So I'll do a last call for anybody that wants to throw in a question, hop on this hellscape of a space. One more go round here. Give you guys a minute. Not a minute. I'm going to do a going once. I'm going to do a going twice. We're going to go 3 times. And I guess that's going to do it, guys. So thanks for hanging out. As always, I hope this gave everybody a little something to do to pass the monotony of the Christmas season shit show that is college basketball scheduling. But looking very forward to seeing everybody on Wednesday. Bring your best. Dress for success. You know the deal. And as always, remember we are doing the live spaces at the CAF, which is like adjacent to the XL Center, immediately following the game. So we're going to hustle our bustle over there and live spaces it up. But I will be plowing around Pratt Street as well. So keep your eye open. Maybe I'll buy you a beer. Maybe I'll get you arrested. Who knows what's going to happen. But in any event, everybody, we'll look forward to seeing everybody on Wednesday at the XL Center for UConn and Villanova. And until then, and as always, keep in touch with yourselves. Good night, everybody.